A radio signal from another world. Sir?
This man is not a hero, he's a criminal. Shut up!
Hello and good evening. Happy USA 250, everybody. It's the 4th of July, and we're here with our patriotic movie watch and review. Well, review, really. We're not going to watch the movie. If you came here for that, we're not going to do it. But we are going to review one of the greatest patriotic movies ever made, and perhaps the only biopic to cover multiple lifetimes while still only covering one character. It is, of course, the great movie Patton, which some of you may be familiar with from listening to this show and some of our Patton lore. So we came ready to play. We know that there's not a whole hell of a lot of people out there, but you know what? If you came here for a good time, we got one for you, and we got all the information about George S. Patton that you ever wanted to know. Like, for instance, his Olympic success. And we'll talk about that and other things. Welcome to everybody. Happy USA 250. And let me welcome my panel. Sean and JT are on away missions headed towards the reconnoiter points where we will have them beamed up. With me right now, we already have Resolute Germ. Resolute, welcome, sir.
Happy Independence Day, everybody.
Tax Independence Day was like 4 weeks ago, and now we get to celebrate actual Independence Day. It's pretty boss that way in the U.S. Moves back a little further every year. Yeah, and we also have with us for context, Krimlon. Krimlon the Great is here. Welcome, Krimlon.
Hail, everyone. Happy 4th of July. And I think I lost track of my microphone, apparently.
Don't worry about it. I accidentally paused the beginning of the show because I found out that the controls in my headphones, my earbuds, still work, which is ridiculous. Like, why? Okay. Well, that's life. We'll keep that one in mind for later. But you know what? Welcome to the show. And hello, Gavin, Trek reviewer, Radioactive, Mark Harkness, Buddy Hepburn, Ed Ruby Hoove. You guys are awesome. It's good to see you. And I want to thank Ruby Hoove, who gave us 5 Admiral Teague memberships. They went to Zombie Box Reviews, Alice of the Hole, 84, Arch Mage Fry. Yeah, I like it. Dave C10. Hey, Dave C. And Jonathan Games Johnson, 7408. Hey, hello, Jonathan. Then Jonathan James Johnson, 7408. There we go. Jonathan James Johnson Jr. I put in the extra effort here, despite being dyslexic, which is something Patton dealt with as well. And Gavin, hello. It's good to see you. Hello, Mark Harkness. And Ruby, thank you so much. Happy Independence Day, says Ruby Hoove. What freedom ring? Indeed, we're going to talk about a man who brought freedom to more people than any American ever. And really, one of the questions, if we could have had a double poll, the real question would be George S. Patton. And I'll ask this to the panel to get us warmed up. George S. Patton, great general or greatest general?
Greatest. Definitely.
All right.
Probably, yeah.
You think so, Jerm?
He had a reckless disregard for the lives of his men. What more could you ask?
Not just his men, but every other man.
He believed that like full on, like very and hello everybody. He believed that full on extremely like a violent plan executed now is better than a perfect plan in 2 weeks was one of his sayings. So Patton believed in action. He also believed that the philosophy of the U.S. Army, as he interpreted it from being, in it for like decades by the time the war happens, was that the U.S. Army philosophy was to grab the enemy by the belt and kick him in, punch him in the face until you knocked out all his teeth and kick him in the pants. So it was a total beat the crap out of the other guy approach, where he believed in focusing all the elements of the military, might that the United States could bring to bear. And just having gone through his biography today, I spent about 4 hours with it, and I got a good insight into the things that matter to him. And we did not make it past the part where he gets the medal in Morocco. He describes every room he's in. He describes like everything he sees. He describes every infantry and like tactic that he uses. He describes every maneuver where he takes what today we would call Libya, and like basically the finer things in life. He's like, I toasted the honored French dead, and then with champagne. I toasted the honored French dead with champagne and announced that I was now the military governor of Tunisia. And he was getting ready to bomb Casablanca when the French signaled that they were done. And he said it was saved by, quote, a miracle of modern communication technology. So I'm guessing he meant the phone. But the early part of the movie where we see him making that speech, fantastic stuff. I guess that's something that we should talk about right now. And we'll go with Germ. Germ, that opening speech.
That was a very good opening speech. Maybe not the best way to start the movie. I would have liked that right when he was taking command of probably the Third Army. But very good speech.
It's his real speech mashed up from a bunch of best of. It's very close to what he said. They changed it a little bit. And of course, George C. Scott has a much better speaking voice, but that was the kind of thing you would see, he would come to your base and get your morale up. Hello, buddy. Good to see you, my friend. And Crimon has gifted 5 memberships. Let's take a look and see who was lucky enough to get memberships from Crimon. Crimon has gifted one too. Phantom Boomer, hello. To Elbert 1, Perry's 2740, Scattered Night, Telecom 6769. Okay, Cal Rome, sorry, 6769, and Dan Ben 07. Hey, welcome back, Dan Ben. Good to see you. It's good to see you all. Welcome aboard. Crimon, thank you, sir. Yeah. Thank you very much.
I think the only thing I like that what I would consider a speech is the part where he goes on a tirade talking about how we needed to crush the commies before they become a pain.
You're talking about the end of the movie where he's going nuts on the phone?
Yes.
All right, let's try to go a little linearly, and I did a lot of research on that stuff. That was the focus of most of my research because I knew about like the stuff with his military career. So this is what he said, standing in front of a gigantic American flag. That salute, if you look very closely in the HD, Germ, did you notice any flaws in the movie in the opening? Anything that was maybe revealed by the HD?
No, the one I watched wasn't really the HD version.
Okay, when you look at it, you can tell they shaved off his eyebrows and used tape with dental floss to give him Patton's eyebrows.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to be really in close to see it. It's a little bit distracting in the opening scene, but here's what he says. Set against a massive American flag. Now I want you to remember that no bastard ever won a war by dying for his country. He won it by making the other poor, dumb bastard die for his country. Men, all this stuff you've heard about America not wanting to fight, wanting to stay out of the war, is a lot of horse shit. Americans traditionally love to fight. All real Americans love the sting of battle. Right now, I'm saying this is already the greatest speech of all time. When you were kids, you all admired the champion marble shooter, the fastest runner, the big league ball players, the toughest boxers. Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time. I wouldn't give a hoot in hell for a man who lost and laughed. We've already got so many quotable lines we could talk about. We could do a whole show just on the speech. That's why Americans never have lost and never will lose a war, because the very thought of losing is hateful to Americans. Now, an army is a team. It eats, sleeps, fights as a team. This individuality stuff is a bunch of crap. The bilious bastards who wrote that stuff about individuality for the Saturday Evening Post don't know anything more about war than they do about fucking. Now, we have the finest food, equipment, best spirit, and the best men in the world. You know, by God, I actually pity those poor bastards we're going up against. By God, I really do. We're not just going to shoot the bastards. We're going to cut out their living guts and use them to grease the treads of our tanks. We're going to murder those lousy Hun bastards by the bushel. Now, some of you boys I know are wondering whether or not you'll chicken out under fire. Don't worry about it. I can assure you that you will all do your duty. The Yahtzees are the enemy. Wade into them, spill their blood, shoot them in the belly. When you put your hand into a bunch of goo that a moment ago was just your best friend's face, you'll know what to do. Now, here's another thing I want you to remember. I don't want to hear any messages saying that we're holding our position. We're not holding on to anything. Let the Hun do that. We're advancing constantly, and we're not interested in holding on to anything except the enemy. We're going to hold them by the nose, and we're going to kick them in the ass. We're going to kick the hell out of them all the time, and we're going to do it when they go through them like crap through a goose. There's one thing you men will be able to say when you get back home, and you'll thank God for it. 30 years from now, when you're sitting around by the fireside with your grandson on your knee, and he says to you, "What did you do in the Great World War II?" You won't have to say, "Well, I shoveled shit in Louisiana." All right, now, you sons of bitches, you know how I feel. I'll be proud to lead you wonderful guys into battle anywhere, anytime. That is all. So I put in the actual cursing for the Hollywood cursing, but that's the speech. I'm a little scared of my general.
Makes you want to shout blood for the blood god.
Hey, Mark. I knew the people of New Jersey were defeated by the heat today when they started leaving the beach with their possessions in cars. It was that terrible heat and the white of the sand on the beach, and Chris Christie by the edge of the breakwater.
I'm doing my civic duty here, Teague. Did you change your temperature, your thermostat to 78 degrees? Like your fearless leader told you to.
You know what was funny was as I left my house, the power went out. I went home to where my mom lives. I spent the day there. And she's like, "When are you going to leave?" And I was like looking at my phone. I'm like, "You know what, Mom? Let me just hang out another hour." And she's like, "All right, okay." And she's just like, "Gee, are you going to miss your train?" And like, I'm looking again at my phone. It's like, it says like, you now have electricity again. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to leave now. So it's just
what a devoted son.
I was there all day, but I was not into going home and spending 2 hours in an unpowered, unheated apartment or sitting on the street in this neighborhood. It's a little dangerous around here. That's why I'm not afraid of people coming after me.
I'm just making sure that you're following what your comrade leader over there has set forth for you.
I'm not holding on to anything. I'm advancing. I advanced through the Long Island Railroad. I advanced through the crowds at the subway, and I advanced down the street home to my apartment. But you know what? Let's talk about that opening speech, that opening moment. He's standing in front of the giant American flag, walking back and forth. He's got the most incredible uniform. By the way, in his book, The War as I Saw It, he spends about 3 paragraphs describing the sash and medal he gets from the Grand Vizier of Tunisia. So these kind of things really meant a lot to him.
Yeah, he was big on detail.
He was also big on military achievement and medals. He loved his Napoleonic-like collection of huge medals. Really made a big difference between him and Bradley in the movie. But, after you see this movie, just out of nowhere, it's just a giant American flag. You hear men murmuring. Then all of a sudden you hear the command to attention. And you hear a song that's called For the Colors, I believe it's called. And that, they show him saluting. They show his pips up his arms, showing he has something like 40 years in the military. They're showing he's got, all of these different decorations. He's got French decorations. He's got decorations from all over the world. And Mark, by the way, there's a pass for you if you want to join us. He's got military decorations from all over the world, every country he's served in, everywhere he's been a military advisor as an American. He's got regional military decorations that we don't give out anymore that were left over. Probably wearing a couple of his grandfather's Civil War decorations. One of his grandfathers dies at Gettysburg in Pickett's Charge. So I guess we'll go to Germ. Germ, you said you liked the speech. Tell me a little more about what you thought of the imagery. And let's remember that we're losing a war when this movie drops. So it's a pretty bold choice in your opinion?
Yeah, it's pretty bold, really in your face. Good way to get the troops rallied, or at least get them to devote their lives to corn. Either way, they're going to go out there and start killing things.
They're pretty afraid of him too. Like he's pretty unhinged in the speech. What do you think? Or do you think he was he inspiring, or was he inspiring because he was so crazy?
It's the most hinged he is in the movie. He just gets more and more off his rocker from that point.
Well, and coming from someone that was in the army too, I would say that, just those aspects, you want someone that is kind of unhinged. At least that's what we always wanted.
Now, people should know Krimlon was in our nation's army when you volunteered. He's relatively a youngin'. But here's the thing. He wanted to be there. He had a draftee army. So I think maybe he was a little more concerned about motivating him. He might have been afraid of their level of professionalism. So I think maybe like the extra crazy speech was a calculus. He was a pretty good speaker when he wanted to be.
This speech was just way too professional for my character.
I got you. All right. Well, he talks about spilling everybody's blood and tearing out the enemy's guts and greasing the tank treads with them. And what you're saying is that level of tameness is just not. It's just you would have preferred a little more
too tame, a little too politically correct.
Well, later in the movie, he's going to make a couple of speeches that'll go a little bit too far in a few places. Maybe you'll like them better.
I think that'd be normal.
He makes a few great speeches in this movie. We'll assess them. Does anyone think that this is the greatest speech of the movie? Because a lot of people think it is. It sets the tone for the movie. I'll just say that I'll start out this one. One of the boldest choices ever to start out a movie. This was extreme and shocking.
Yeah, it's a little bit much to start the movie. It probably should have been a little bit later.
All right. And Krimlon, what did you think? Dropping that in right to start your movie.
I think anyone that's, either served or, someone, people that were just inspired by military films or anything like that would really love it. I think your average person, yeah. I think that was probably not a great place to put it, even by today's films. But I mean, I think they even tried to do similar things like what they did out of 300. The beginning of 300, where they tried to do something similar. It wasn't, a grand speech or anything like that, but at least you kind of had the beginning of it where they tried to do something similar.
He did not get a decoration for slapping the soldier. The one he was describing was for enlightened governorship of Tunisia. This one is not as shocking as the saving. Nothing touches saving Private Ryan. That soldier went on to have a normal career afterwards.
He should have gotten something for saving Private Ryan.
Shaving Ryan's privates. Okay. No, nothing can top the Saving Private Ryan beginning. It's shocking in the sense that the general seems like he might, like, if somebody was to seem a little cowardly, he might pull out one of those pistols and shoot them right there. Like, that's how crazy and angry the general is. He is spitting fire. He's doing.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
Death before dishonor.
To a football coach.
It's death before dishonor.
Germ, if you're if the coach of the Seahawks was to give a speech in a similar tone, would you be offended by it?
As long as it works.
Well, by the way, before Independence Day, this was the speech guys would give ironically to get their team fired up. Now it's the Independence Day speech. Okay, so the movie opens up with one of the greatest speeches of all time. And then I think the reason the speech is up front is something you guys might want to opinionate on for me. Don't you think maybe because the beginning of the movie is a super downer?
Not that much of a downer.
I didn't think it was a downer.
Well, on that battlefield where they're talking about just how things did not work out in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, but they're just talking. The first engagement you see, Patton wins.
That's a good 20 minutes later. I think maybe pacing comes in. It's hard to say.
I don't think they gave a damn about pacing when their movie's 3 hours.
It had an intermission, and this was a more common thing at the time. Although, point noted, I mean, obviously, yeah, they're thinking things in a different way. You know what? Than we are as far as their movie making approach. I'd also ask you this: when I told you that the movie that this team made before this, and we mean like the cinematographer as well as the guy who did the score, Jerry Goldsmith of Star Trek, does the score. When you found out that this was what the movie was that the team did before this, how shocked were you? Do you remember what movie it was?
Not offhand.
The movie before this was Planet of the Apes.
I guess that tracks.
How?
You need a high level of cinematography for both.
And they both have amazing soundtracks. All right. I'll throw this one to Crimline for a moment. What do you think going from Planet of the Apes 1, obviously? We're not talking about the Marky Mark one, obviously. This is the one with Chuck Heston. What did
the original?
Think about jumping from that to this. What do you think?
I'm trying to think here. I'd say, I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's a big difference as far as what they did as far as technology wise goes. I think what was it in this one? They actually used a lot of real props.
They had a lot of mock-ups. The props look very real because what's happening was these were modern runoffs from the same Czech factories that were making the German tanks. The movie was filmed in Spain. So what's crazy is both armies are played by a fascist army, that of Franco of Spain. He was an ally of Hitler and of Mussolini during the war. He just refused to participate in hostilities. He supported them economically, which meant that he didn't give them anything because he, like, after he said, I promise to support you 100% economically, that he followed up with in about 20 years when we have enough food for the people in my country.
And he's a little busy at the time.
What do you mean as far as consolidating power?
Yeah, he had just technically ended the Civil War, but there was still a good amount of rebellion to put down.
That Civil War arguably still goes on as far as the problems they're having with the Basque separatists and other things, and the Barcelona region wanting to break away and speaking a different language than the rest of Spain. And Spain is a confused country. But Ferdinand Franco is there, and he's in charge until like 1976, I think he dies. So he lends them his army. So his tanks, they're coming out of the same factories. They're slightly modern upgrades. I believe a lot of them are Czech tanks. We do have what I would consider fantastic mock-ups. And wow, what an amazing honor to have all of you here for our Patton review. It's a lot more people than we expected on this big historic night. You know what? Thank you for watching with the browser open. Hit the like and follow. If you're coming through later, your like counts just as much. We're going to get into the most amazing biopic really of all time. So I guess, Krimwan, help people understand what Patton has to deal with. He, at the beginning of the war, his tanks need to stop, take aim, and fire. Correct? He doesn't have anything too great yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, the tanks during that time period were all diesel engines with smaller batteries. So yes, they didn't really have too much stabilizers compared to what you've got now. I mean, even all the way up until the 80s.
That's an interesting thing to say, because I want to ask you about that. They said the Germans were the ones, the diesel tanks. I heard only their end of war tanks had them. And I heard our problem was we were using good old fashioned gasoline, which is not great, in a tank.
Yeah, and I know that during that time period, with the way Patton's strategy was, he was just hit hard, push as fast as you can, which spread the pretty much just spread the battlefield fairly thin. I mean, I know that the fuel lines had a hard time keeping up with as fast as he was pushing.
He was an extremely aggressive commander.
Yes.
Here's the thing. If I research this right, maybe you some of our tank fans out there can help us. But you know what? Most World War II tanks, not all. Hello, Lombardi. You know what? Not all of them, but most World War II tanks had to stop to fire. They didn't have a gyroscopic turret or whatever you call it. Whatever it is that keeps the turret level while you're driving over unlevel terrain. So most of them had to stop to fire. The Sherman doesn't have to.
Yeah,
that's the first American one.
They had the M4 Sherman. I think you had the was it M26? Was it the Germans had the M26 Pershing? If I remember correctly.
Germans. The Germans had the PZKW 3s and 4s at the early part of the movie,
I'm looking right now. Yeah.
They would have what would be called the Panzerkampfwagen 3s and 4s. They're really upscaled armor cars. They're not that huge yet. They're not going to intimidate anybody the way their later war tanks did. But I mean, it's still an artillery piece that can move to a certain place, stop and fire. The problem there is when they stop to fire, you've got a large target to fire back on. So the American tanks that could fire and move, there's not a whole shitload of them at the beginning of the war. And then at the first battle, if you notice what he's using to do most of the damage, he's got tanks and stuff, but they're kind of dealing with the German air support more than anything else. The most of the damage that he does in that first battle is with just standard self-propelled artillery.
Yeah, I mean, well, the M4 didn't really have that. It wasn't really all that powerful.
No,
not compared to anything German-wise.
Well, for those who are fans of my channel and who watched it, I did a video on the movie Fury, and one of the final acts of that was the charge on the German Tiger. And when they charged the Tiger tank, what they did was the stupidest thing they could have done. Everything in the movie leading up to then showed us that they had the superiority to win this battle. All they had to do was blind the tank with smoke, hit it up with the with what was it called, the white phosphorus, which by the way would get into the intake system of the tanks, really inconvenience the crew, burn up some of their equipment, make the tank almost uninhabitable. A lot of guys bailed from the tank into that because they thought their tanks had been hit and were on fire. So the white sulfur that we see them using early in the movie, that was a standard reaction. So when they blind them with the smoke just to run away, retreat, and then come back in a straight line at them, that was like, okay, you got a kernel of an idea there. Now, if General Teague can come up with this one, maybe Krimlon and Germ can verify this. If we're in the movie Fury and we know that it takes 5 of our tanks to take out one of theirs, and we have 5 tanks, I'm not going to take the 20% chance that we're the ones that are living. I'm going to say this. White phosphorus all over that tank, all over it, then smoke, nothing but smoke. Then I want everyone just pour it on with everything you got, firing as fast as you can. We're all going to ride around clockwise to, half is going to break off and continue firing at it so that we have good line of sight on the other tank so we don't fire on each other. And we're going to try to hit that damn thing in a weak spot sooner or later. If not, they're going to hate being inside that tank and get nothing done. Right? Better than the Fury plan. So basically, in Fury, they create a shooting gallery. The German Tiger tank is just able to fire 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they mess up out of their own mistake. They over rotate the gun. It gets hung up on a tree. They try to turn it around the other way, and in that time, the Fury, because everyone else gets hit, gets in behind it, takes a couple of shots, and then nails it in a weak spot. There's a weak spot where you can hit it. So rather than having
weak
their
spot is the tracks and the engine.
That would have immobilized it, but the kill shot is from behind for Sherman on the Tiger, the way they set it up in Fury. And it's a pretty good scene, but the thing is, after you watch it again, you're like, why would you ever attack like this? So
yeah, it's pretty stupid.
Patton, very big tank strategist, very big tank guy. After this incredible speech, and it is one of the greater speeches in American cinematic history, honestly. Jerem liked it. As he said, it's a pretty good speech. We go to the Battle of Kasserinepass, where we see someone we've seen before. Jerem, do you recognize this man with the memo pad? Or should I say, is he really a man? That is Android Roger Corby, Jerem.
Okay.
That's Roger Corby. Let's see if his face, give you a little voice.
And aerial ballot is correct. You wouldn't want to really fire off. You're not going to really get anywhere with the white phosphorus. So that range of that Tiger would pretty much get you before you'd even have a chance.
The movie doesn't tell us that, so we don't know. All we know is the white phosphorus was very effective against the Shermans, and what they did was, in real life, they did what I said. They swarmed the tank, peppered it with everything they had, including machine guns, just to make life inside the tank completely unpleasant. And they were nailing it with smoke and white phosphorus as much as they could as soon as they could get close to it, because it would just fuck up the tank. It burns as hot as the surface of the sun. So there's a cigarette, make of it what you will.
That's if you get close enough without getting tore up.
Here's the thing. In the movie Fury, it's completely wrong because the Germans engaged from a great distance with their tanks because they had far longer range. So everything Ariel's saying is correct. Ariel's had some great comments that I've missed the last couple of nights, so I'm going to be trying to pay a little more attention. Hellcat tank destroyers, those must have been the artillery that he had, the self-propelled guns. By the late war, the Shermans did not carry their ammunition behind the sponsors like the early Ronsons and the later ones that had a 76 millimeter gun that had some penetration. The Fury is the upgun as upgunned as it gets. The thing about the Fury, a lot of my research led me to believe that it was a tank that was only designed and used in the Pacific and kitted out in Pacific gear. and that everything about the tank was not suited to the theater it was in, which makes me a little upset because the tank community destroyed me for calling the Tiger a King Tiger when it was only like a regular Tiger. And they're okay with the fact that the Fury is just like a tank that was never even deployed in Europe. If you're a tank purist, you got to be consistent on that one. But I appreciate that they watched long enough to get that one. They weren't endorsing the video after seeing that, though. One little mistake. I'll take the views, though. Thanks, guys. So yeah, the white phosphorus, it is more anti-personnel, but it was. I went and I checked out the manual. It was effective against the tanks. Why would something like that work against a World War II era tank? Remember, it had to have an air circulation system.
Well, it's not just that. You also got to talk about surrounding and the terrain and everything.
You're turning it into a hellscape. Everything bursts into flame.
You got hills, you got tree lines, you got all the, all those stuff there. Are you able to sneak up? What are you able to do?
In Fury, it looked like they had several different ways to sneak up on it, including having a couple of tanks take the long way around and attack from the other direction. And you know what I mean? Like there was like some low hills in the distance. Like they could have absolutely done some stuff in Fury, but okay. Tangent parking lot. Please watch the Fury video. So here's Roger Corby. Let's see if his voice makes any difference and people recognize it. Here we go.
Propelled 105s.
You can tell he's Roger Corby right there, can't you?
The voice does sound familiar.
I would have liked to have had Andrea in this movie, but unfortunately, this is one of several movies that have no women in them whatsoever. So in other words, what I'm saying is it's very well acted. There's no strong, powerful woman. If we made this movie today, by the way, we would have had to have Patton call his wife before he made the speech, right? He said, "Okay, if I yell at him, honey, they're just men. Go ahead."
Yeah, they would have needed some type of woman in this.
So this is when they basically say, break glass in case of war. It's time to bring out Patton. And like, even though things are really bad and they've lost 14,000 men, is it? And like all sorts of equipment and a ton of U.S. treasure wasted on this like battle that Farenthold lost on them. They're going to relieve their supreme commander of operations. Ike is, number one, but they're going to remove their supreme tactical commander for this military group. They're going to bring in the military governor of Tunisia. It's Patton. And they're saying here, like, who we need. And I don't even think they say his name. And they're like, there'll be hell to pay. And they're like, that's what we have to do. We've got to bring him in. It's time. He's trained enough of these guys. He knows how to do this. This is the guy we need. We need Patton. And everybody's like, I would say I read them as amused by that one. What do you guys think? Like they weren't happy about what happened, but they were rather amused by the fact that Patton was now going to be deployed. They're like, whoa, wow, this is going to be crazy shit, right? That was basically their take.
Pretty close, yeah.
Anything about this sequence aside from the scope of it that you'd like to comment on, or even the scope of it? What did you think of the way they pretty immersive, right? It's Spain, just so you know. But what did you think?
They did really well on the set designs and the live stunts for a lot of this early part.
That was not a stunt. I know what you're talking about. When the guy falls under the tank, he fell. They kept it. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute, though. All right, so they're talking about, like, this is bad. We're going to have to bring in Patton. And they're like, oh, God, that's going to be a nightmare because he's Patton. And then we get... And he's getting a medal and a sash from the Grand Vizier of Tunisia. And by the way, that decoration is 100% exactly as it was described in Patton's book. The full sash is for ceremonial, and the star is to be worn, at formal occasions on the Mandarin collar, and the extremely large silver star, that's to be worn all the time. Pretty good military stuff. I would just say, since we're Star Trek guys, this is a mirror universe military uniform, isn't it?
It might be Klingon.
It's very Worf-like. Well, you know what? Let's talk about that. We're going to get an intel meeting by the Germans about how crazy this guy is, where they talk about him, and they use something that I think that Star Trek steals it. Don't they use it to describe someone else? Don't they describe Patton as the pure warrior, a term later applied to Kahless?
I would have no idea, because the version I had did not have any subtitles.
They say to Patton, the Germans say he's a pure warrior. They also talk about his belief in reincarnation and an incident in the New York City street. But we'll get to that as we move forward with Patton. So at the military parade, by the way, the line where they said, I wonder, what do you think of our country? He goes, I love it, Your Excellency. It's a combination of Hollywood and the Bible, which is from his book, an exact quote from his book, War as I Saw It, when he talked about Casablanca. So really good faithfulness by Francis Ford Coppola is the screenwriter, and he's just doing a real good job. Germ, I'm sensing some discontent. I guess this movie's before your time. No problem. No one's sworn to love the movie, but what did you think of it as far as the screenplay and the dialogue and the efficiency of that?
The dialogue's pretty snappy when they're flowing. No real wasted time on it. They let him do most of the talking, which is probably for the best.
I don't think too many people talked much when he was around,
Well, not without getting their face slapped.
Yeah, he might get a little nuts and slap you in the face. Let's get these comments up on screen. Cover the great general with your words that he fought for you to have the freedom of speech to express. At this point, I believe his name is Wessenthal, gets relieved of command. We get that great scene where Patton shows up and he's going to scare the hell out of these guys. And he's angry that they didn't fight well and that they got beaten. He when they talk to him later, he's not that upset that the individual soldiers didn't perform well. He blames the leadership strongly, but he comes in and he is trying to project that he is all business and a total dick. The siren blaring. This scene is as reported at the time. So Krimlon, you're a military guy. What did you think of Patton's dramatic? For those of us who don't know it, let's give people a little refresher. Here's some of it.
All my life, I've wanted to lead a lot of men in a desperate battle. Now I'm going to do it.
I am going to be allowed to fulfill my destiny.
I thought we had more Jeep in there, but Patton, nothing but a showman, driving through enemy territory with his air raid siren on his Jeep going off like a crazy man, shows up. He minimal respect for the soldiers, shows up, straightens out some guys in the OPSEC who are not that concerned about discipline, to the point they don't even look to see who comes in. He dresses them down with dirty looks more than any words. Then he walks around, goes to the mess hall and tells them, from now on, the mess hall is going to open up at like 5:45 in the morning and close at 6:05. Fuck everyone who's not here. And they're like, but sir, we open up at 7:30. He's like, the mess hall is now closed. Inform these officers that there is no food to be had. And he turns them out and he tells the chef to put on his helmet and to wear his leggings and wears his tie, and the cook, in a great line to establish what Patton's all about, goes, "Well, hell, General, sir, I'm a cook." And he looks at him for a moment and he goes, "You're a soldier." And I thought that was a great, powerful moment. It's $20 fine. That's like $500 in today's money. Like $300. What did you guys think of Patton showing up to straighten out his guys, knocking the prawn pictures off the wall, only having respect for the guy who knew he wanted to get some sleep, yelling at everyone, dressing them down, and then being in a very good mood moments later in his office when he was in private with Bradley? What did you guys think of his initial inspection and takeover of this army group?
About normal.
Really?
Pretty much. I mean, any officer I'd been around that when did inspection or anything like that, they pretty much did fairly similar. I mean, he's got to keep. You can remember he's what, a 2-star general at this point,
right?
He's got to maintain order, discipline, and everything else. He's going in and basically showman, pretty much show everyone what he's all about, and just to keep the discipline.
And they've been doing their share of fucking up. They lost. That's
pretty much, and that's Patton, what you deserve.
You know what? I would say this, Germ. The fact that he's, although he respects his men, he won't be openly respectful to them in public, that he's being pretty tough on them. I would say that while he cares about them, this relates to the fact that he has that great opening speech about how Americans can't stand a loser. They're losers, so he's not going to treat them well. What do you think?
Well, he's treating them as well as they deserve. They're undisciplined. They're not fighting well. He's being respectful, but he's being tough.
All right. Hey, we have a life sign for the planet below. You know him. You love him. He's going to join us here on our stage. We're going to beam him right to the bridge. He's the best. You love him. It's Sean Carter, sirs and madams.
Hey, guys.
Live.
Hello.
Welcome. How was your 4th of July, sir?
It's going good, but now I have a scared dog behind me. Here you can see, there. He's a little freaked out from the fireworks, so you may hear a cry here and there from him.
Okay.
But no, it's been a good 4th. I'm sorry I'm late. You tried to send me to Sicily, and you're just trying to take all that glory from me, so I just had to.
That's right. Yeah. I made Sean slug, mind you, up those tough mountain roads. You know what? You're here pretty early in the review, so you got a chance to talk about this one. We all weighed in on his opening speech. Germ thought it was a fantastic speech.
Oh yeah.
And he's pissed that he stole it from Trump, but
it was fantastic. It was when I listened to it again, it a lot of similarities there.
I think the movie came out when Trump was 22, so his public speaking approach was probably affected by it. But to give us your reaction on the opening speech and his like noble war, Americans hate a loser, and it's like it's crackling with masculinity. It's loaded with testosterone. You could never make that movie today. He would have to stop and call his wife up and be like, "Is it okay if I yell at them, honey?" He'd say, "Yeah, fuck them. They're just mad."
Yeah.
Talk to me about the opening sequence.
Oh, it's great. And what I love about it is it's not verbatim, because he delivered a speech like that many times as far as I can remember hearing. That was, I think that speech was patched together from people's other recollections, and they kind of put
had records of it, and they had filmed a bunch of them. So what they did was
they mishmash.
Francis Ford Coppola had the exact speeches, so he actually he went with the same flow. I've seen 2 different versions of the speech being delivered. It was more or less in the same order. He went with the better phrasings, the stronger phrasings, the most strong phrasings, and he had to nerf out stuff like we're going to grab the enemy and we're going to kick him in the balls. We're going to kick him in the balls and we're going to, we're cornhole him, and all the crazy shit that Patton was really saying. So, they nerfed that down. Like, who says the bilious bastards who wrote that stuff about individuality know about as much about individuality in the military as they do about fornicating.
Yeah.
In real life, he said fucking.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
We read the speech the way he said it when we did the speech.
Yeah, but we get the idea. I mean, he didn't have to say the word for us to know that's what he said. But no, it was fabulous. And knowing that it comes from historical records made it even better. And the delivery, man, George C. Scott, he was Patton. He was Patton.
And what's weird is when you see him in that Scrooge movie, there's almost no Patton to be seen in that Scrooge. That Scrooge is a sniveling coward. It's really good. He's a good actor. Like, he could just show up and be anything. He was a fantastic choice for this. Anyone who's ever seen The Color of Money saw him play a dishonorable character with equal vigor and get I believe, nominated for best a supporting actor for that one.
He was in The Color of Money?
No, I'm sorry. He was in The Hustler, which is the
first
prequel. The prequel.
Well, it wasn't a prequel. It was the prequel would have been it came out after.
Long distance original. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, here's the explanation. There's a Tom Cruise movie called Color of Money. It's a sequel made years later by people who just liked the original. I don't think anyone who had anything to do with writing the original was on it. But the movie was good. They got Paul Newman back as the same character. They paid all their licensing fee. And it was a great movie. And it showed Tom Cruise could play pool okay.
Fast Eddie.
Into every role.
What was the last name? Fast Eddie something?
I forget. But when he plays Jackie Gleason in the first movie, like it's pretty good. So George,
Jackie Gleason did all his own shots in that movie.
I believe it because
he was an avid pool player. Yeah.
I that's probably why they wanted him for the role. I would imagine that's probably why they wanted, because he owned a bunch of nightclubs and he entertained big time. So like you'd go in there and just see him shooting pool.
I watched that movie. I've seen that movie a ton of times with my dad. He loved that movie.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
And the sequel's not bad either. So all right. So you like the opening speech. Some Germ thought it was poorly placed. I'm saying like the scene after it and the scene where he takes over don't make much sense without the opening sequence.
I think the speech sets the flavor for who he was and what he was trying to get across to his men. I was fine with it. It would have fit anywhere in the movie though.
True. Here's my feeling. We needed to know how scared they personally were before they go to resigned amusement about the fact they have to call him out in this next scene, where if you recognize our actor here, that this is the scene. He says, can you make an android of Patton? He's like, I did. Rock destroyed the technology and Andrea is all I have left. It's Roger Corby, ladies and gentlemen, in Patton. I believe Christine. The character he's playing, the person he's playing is his name is Chet Hansen. I believe that this is Bradley's aide, Chet Hansen. Later on, when we see Patton visiting Bradley at the front lines, he has that train car or that truck, and he's like, Chet Hansen built this for me, and he's like, it's great, it's just swell.
Oh,
Patton hated stuff like that, but that's the guy who wrote the book that most of this was based on for Bradley. With Bradley.
Okay.
His aide, Bradley's aide, wrote the book. The Patton family didn't participate in the filming. Now, early misnomers were that Bradley walked off the movie. The thing was, he walked off the set when he saw the script and had to and asked to talk to the writers. He said that in real life, George Patton was actually kind of a horrible guy. That he had ended a couple of promising military careers with stupid shit like riding people down playing polo on like Saturdays at the military base. That he didn't know how to. He was a stranger to moderation in every form except like things like drinking, and he was like a military extremist. He decided he wanted to be in the military at age 17. He had dreams of his military ancestors who fought at Gettysburg on the Confederate side. His grandfather is the second mayor of LA.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, someplace called San Marino was his home.
And I just want to say something about this screenshot. Look at those lazy assholes just sleeping in the background. Get off your ass.
I like the quick the quick cameo by the kid playing a young Muammar Gaddafi stealing the watch off the American. Because this is Libya. So we said this. George Patton Smith was born November 11th, 1885 in San Gabriel, California.
Really?
Which
that's my dad's birthday.
It's the also Veterans Day, and it's ironic that he would be born that day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So happy birthday to your dad. We'll be celebrating Patton again with our second look at the movie, or at least another veteran themed movie. Maybe we'll do a Navy one for that day.
I want to do the Gallant Towers with you. I want you to see that movie.
All right. Well,
It's
definitely
so
watch
good.
it.
You can get it on Tubi too. So
Also, I wanted to see if you know of this place. He lived at some place called the estate he lived on is now a town called San Marino. Have you heard of it? And is it nice?
In California?
Yeah. That entire town was his estate. That was his playground growing up. He was the richest officer in the American Army. If you remember that little detail from when the Germans are talking about.
I do remember that coming from the German. Like, do you know where he got his money?
His wife was super rich and the daughter of the second mayor of Los Angeles.
She was also on Old Antiques.
Yeah, San Marino's beautiful town.
And think about it. That was all of it was his. His family owned all of it. And is there something called like Huntington, California? That's named after like another one
Huntington,
of his grandfather.
That's
like another one of his grandfathers.
That's just north of Laguna Beach.
Mm-hmm.
That's someone else in his family. Huntington is named after someone, and there's a mountain named after one of his. Is there a Mount Huntington? There's a mountain named after one of his relatives in California. He was just like fantastically, fabulously wealthy.
It's weird. In California, we pronounce it Huntington. Like the T is almost silent. It's weird.
Okay. That was
I don't know why.
named after someone. That's weird too. I thought it was he had some kind of New York connection because we have a Huntington, New York. And I think what happens is it might not be the same guy, but that guy did relocate to California and start another Huntington. So maybe, he marries into money. So, some of it might have come from the East Coast. But here's Roger Corby telling them that, like, we just got our asses kicked so bad that we're going to have to actually bring out the most unpredictable, wild, aggressive, uncontrollable, hard to talk to, and like a guy who's going to be chomping at the leash, Patton. And Bradley and him, like, first they're kind of a little bit, there's a moment. And then they're like, it's what we're going to have to do if we're going to win this war anyway. And with like some resignation and not really amusement because of where they are, but like what they say, it's like, there's going to be hell to pay as they drive away. And I'll ask the entire panel this, and I'll refresh anyone's memory who doesn't remember. As they drive away and their mechanization, and we see the treatise of a lost battle with our tanks that we're going to phase out, and all of our bad equipment that we're going to get rid of, and all this stuff that didn't work out, and these tactics that got all these brave American boys killed. When we see that, we see a dog chained to a tank, and it's barking, and it's pulling at the leash. And a lot of people said it was emotional and sad.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's the dog star, the war dog of Mars. That is Patton. That dog is Patton. And that dog is going to get off the leash and have his way for about 3.5 years. That dog is the dog of war and represents Patton to me. Anybody?
Well, I'll say something, but I'll wait for German Kremlin. Do you guys have
some messages? There's a couple of private chats. Let me see.
Well, yeah, I looked it up because I was, that scene it is emotional. If you haven't seen the movie before and you're just watching it for the first time, you're like, well, that sucks. I mean, they blew away the buzzards, right? Or the vultures. They killed those things, but they didn't free the dog. It's like all they had to do is go cut that dog loose and let it so it could survive, and they didn't. You're like, man, why didn't? And I'm like thinking, it's got to be. You don't think about those things in times like that. To like, well, maybe I should free the dog. Things that we would do in normal every day. It kind of sucks because the dog's emaciated and skinny, and it just wants to go. And
I think their feeling is it's not an American dog; it's the Bedouins' dog, and they just tied it up, and that's why they don't care.
Yeah. That they were scared, so those people ran off, and like they forgot their dog. I mean, it just sucks. I mean, look, I
they'll come back to steal more stuff, but
I got this beautiful guy behind me here, and it's like hard to see that stuff when you love animals. But you're right. That's a really good analogy there. That is Patton. He's like, and he will be unleashed.
Now, just to speak the other side of the analogy, as you said, it's hard to see. This is a good emotional pull early on in the movie that's not too tough. The dog's not bloodied. It's not missing a limb. It's not shot. It's not dead. It's sad,
but it's going to be dead. It's
the Bedouins might just come back and take it.
Well, they'll eat it.
Yeah, they're going to eat it. Like, the dog doesn't stand good chance. What can I tell you? Actually, you know what? In a cut scene from this movie, just to make everyone feel better, I learned this from Peter Jackson's commentary when he talked about how the ant that was on fire had to be shown to put itself out, or it would scare the children who saw the movie. You know what? That dog was freed and eventually went on to become Star Fox. He was kidnapped by aliens just moments after they left. They landed, gave him some upgrades, and now that you know that, what do you think? But guys, what did you think of the this opening scene with the hopelessness and let's break glass in case of war? Here comes Pat. Kind of waited on it, but any more thoughts?
No, pretty good.
All right, moving on. Patton grew up, by the way, a spoiled and pampered child in a luxurious environment with horses, an entire town, vast grounds, as it's called, and family indulgence, including a nanny who was doting on him. He was one of his aunts. But here's the thing. He struggled significantly with writing, and they believe he was an undiagnosed dyslexic, and he was left back at West Point. Now,
left back? Like,
yes.
He didn't graduate?
No, he had to repeat his freshman year. He was allowed to stay. The thing was, he was George Patton was the best fencer, the best pistol shooter, the best equestrian rider, the best tactical mind, and he kind of sucked at running, and he kind of sucked at reading maps, and he kind of sucked at math. So he had to repeat his freshman year. And reading maps at West Point, I don't know if they did it then like they do it now, but what they do now is you are required to do everything with a watch and a compass, which Boy Scouts do. It's not impossible.
Yeah.
But you have 3 drill sergeants standing around you, screaming at you and setting off fireworks and yelling at you the entire time when you have 1 minute.
Yeah,
if you do that, you jog all day.
It's funny you mentioned how he kind of underperformed at West Point because Bill Halsey, who's Admiral Halsey from the Navy, when he graduated 43rd out of a class of 62 in the Naval Academy. So
just mediocre, low end of mediocre. Here's the thing.
Crazy how you get strong leaders that you don't expect to happen.
3 trivia points about West Point. I've been there many times. It's beautiful. 1, their stadium is called Shea Stadium. So there's still a Shea Stadium in New York. West Point plays there. 2, there's a statue to Patton. 3, Custer's heart is buried there. So West Point, pretty amazing, and great place. Bear Mountain, very beautiful. But let's move on with our movie. We had gotten a little bit further down the line than this one, and It's a pretty long movie. So, this is the moment where we decide we're going to break glass in time for war. And we showed Patton's amazingly unhinged approach with the siren, where he slaps the picture off the wall and he kicks that guy in the ass, and he actually respects that guy. It's like, oh, for hell, I just want to sleep. It's like, all right,
Get back under there. You're the only son of a bitch who seems to know what he's doing around here.
Yeah, a great line. When he looks at the picture of the chick, he stares at it for a while.
Yeah, he gives it like a little nod. He's like, yeah, okay.
He's okay with her. He thinks she's hot, but her place isn't on the wall of a military barracks. It's a barracks, not a bordello. I love that. I mean, it's just, and he's so mean. And then when he gets into the office and sits down at the chair, he's just like light and breezy and totally fine. But this approach it was great. And I thought my strongest reactions were to, hell, General, sir, I'm a cook. Soldier. And the other one being, I can't wear my stethoscope when I put on my helmet, General. Well, cut 2 holes in it. He was unhinged, but focused. I thought that was some great stuff. Amazing early character building to show you what he was all about. And this movie was so well sourced by Ford Coppola that I don't think there were a lot of lines that weren't at least attributable to him by 1 or 2 sources. So this is pretty on brand for the Patton of the movie. We don't pretend to be total historians. We're doing movie Patton. We'll do psychological Patton sometime in the future for fun. But this is movie Patton. Pretty on brand for movie Patton. He won't respect his former colleague who is leaving and been relieved of command. Friedenthal's leaving, and he doesn't even look at him. He doesn't even look out the window. He doesn't go shake his hand. They've probably been colleagues forever. Who knows if they're friends or not? And he's like, do you think he didn't want to be seen with him, to be seen with a weak guy? Or do you think he had lost all respect for him? How 15th century is he thinking at this point, panel?
Yeah, he's taken them to a weird place here for sure.
He definitely is. He doesn't want. He's got some kind of weird chivalry. His aide hasn't remarked on it yet, but he will soon. Like Carl Malton's character, Omar Bradley, walks over the window. It's like, well, Friedenthal's leaving, and he's kind of like really bummed. Like, he's a little bummed. You can tell he feels bad for the guy. Mm-hmm. He also has mentioned how the equipment failed them terribly. But then, as he's leaving, Patton changes the subject. He's like, just putting this up, it sucks. It's easy to see why they got licked. They don't look like soldiers. They don't dress like soldiers. They don't act like soldiers. And Bradley agrees. And so obviously this was, the correct assessment. I would ask Krimwan and Germ, what did you think of him showing absolutely no respect, not even a handshake, or sending a box of cigars to his former probably friend?
Would you really consider him a friend at that point?
What, that you got your command and your 3rd star off of it? Sure, yeah, why not? He's going back to the U.S. to train soldiers and do something for the war effort. He hasn't failed completely. He just got his ass kicked by the Germans, who have been at this for 5 years. I don't think anyone thought of him as a massive failure. They were just like, no. Wow, get him out of there.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you got to pull the picture,
He didn't even go to the mound. He sent the bench coach to pull the pitcher. Sign of disrespect, really. My personal feeling is he didn't want his men to see him with a guy who'd just been beaten. He thought of him as dishonorable, and that he had the stink of dishonor on him. And that's the kind of words I can use. I can imagine Patton saying, "Go out there and shake hands with that loser and get the stench of dishonor on me." You would never do it.
I could definitely see where they got the original Klingons from, though.
Yeah, he is Kalis. He is Kalis.
You bring up a couple things. One, this transfer of command here, and then The other thing, like how he acts in the barracks, it reminds me another great World War II movie, 12 O'Clock High, which is a really great study in leadership. Because Gregory Peck's character does pretty much the same thing. He comes in there and just whoops their butt. He just straightens them out because they got complacent, they got kind of lazy, they're sitting around.
They were scared. Scared. They got chopped up and lost like 20% of all their guys on one mission.
Mm-hmm.
The commander was one of the guys who got it because he led the raid, and he goes in there and he's willing to lead the next raid, but like what are there, like 3 separate attack prongs, and like the guys who had like some of the people who were like at the top of the echelon of the former chain of command, he's like, you're gonna rename your plane like the Total Loser, and you're gonna rename your plane the Lead Magnet, and you're gonna lead the raids, and you're gonna call your plane what was it, Dumb Luck, and he rubs their face in it. He tells them they're not going to turn back until they drop their bombs. He tells them that this raid's going down one way or another, and we're leaving tomorrow at 6 a.m. Don't fuck with me. And yeah, this goes on through the whole movie till that character breaks down. The problem with 12 O'Clock High for some war movie fans would be that there's no action in it, really. We take off, and then we see what the toll is taken on them when they land again.
I much prefer the leadership goals of an R.E. Gold when he came back to take over his prior place of employment and started shooting everyone with paintballs and telling them they're fired.
That is pretty great. So we both
the leper colony, that was it. Mark Harkness. Yeah, I think that was one of the lines, wasn't it?
I don't know, but I do want to thank the dead man who I'm sorry I'm behind on the chat. I apologize. This will all pay off when it makes really good video on demand, because we have a good conversation going, and about half of everyone's going to celebrate this holiday on Monday. Half everyone celebrated on Friday. My feeling is the logical choice really was Friday, wasn't it? Sleeping off on Sunday. But thank you to the dead man with a very generous $4.99 Greenlandian greenback super chat that I missed by 30 minutes. I am a dick. I apologize. Bottom of my heart, we got Happy Independence Day to my favorite damn Yankee. You know what? I'll take that, but I'm not putting on the Yankee hat because like Major League Baseball on-field hats are wool, and that thing is so hot that if I put it on now, I would probably just die. It is. You know what? Sean, are you the only one who thinks that maybe they have acrylic hats for the super hot days, right?
It makes me think of George Costanza. Yeah, they're polyester. Gotta get cotton.
These pants just split right up the back. Yeah, they had a great Phil Rizzuto imitator for that one. That guy sounded just like the Scooter.
Yeah, Teague, before you get started again, I do have to get going.
Sure, give us your final opinion of the movie before you go, and tell us what's going on in the channel.
Overall, pretty good movie. It is about 45 minutes too long. That's just personal taste. I couldn't stand it being 3 hours. I had to break it up into different chunks. Besides that, A-.
So if it was a streaming series, it would be an A+, but it's an A-. All right. Thanks, Jerome.
Yeah, and they kind of jump around a lot. They don't really fill out a lot of the backstory. They'll start up. Yeah, they jump to Sicily from Tunisia and then over to Europe, and you don't really get a flow.
I think they're assuming familiarity with the war 25 years later. They're just like, people are just going to know. Yeah,
25 years later, yeah, 80 years later, not so much.
You know, it's funny, Jeremy, you say that because the movie being so long and they still missed a lot. It's a good point.
And one thing that the movie missed a lot that didn't need to be in the movie, but I would say, can we get a young Patton movie? because the fact that he competed in the 1912 Olympics and came in 5th place in the modern pentathlon, which was swimming, running, fencing, equestrian, and pistol shooting. And by the way, he used his personal pistols for that. He says he shot double doubles and put 4 bullets through 2 holes. Sean seems to have. There, he's back.
Crashed on me. Sorry.
I was just recounting. Patton was in the 1915 Olympics. He used his personal sidearm for the pistol shooting thing. His weakest competitions, his weakest events in the modern pentathlon were running and swimming. His strongest were fencing, equestrian, and pistol shooting, where he dominated. Most people agreed that he put 4 bullets through 2 holes and was disqualified for missing twice. So he should have gotten the gold medal. He finished just outside medaling at 5th place.
Well, with today's cameras, they would have caught that. They would have seen the.
That's true. Patton would have won. But you were supposed to fire with a 22 pistol, and he insisted on using his own personal 38. I wonder if it was the pearl handle, because one of them was a 38. By the way, another piece of trivia: as they were going into that initial invasion for the invasion of Tunisia and Libya, that whole area, he told his aide, he had like a feeling, he's like, do me a favor, get my pistols off the boat. And the guy grabbed them and brought them back. And at that moment, a French boat came out of the fog, started firing on their ships. And when they returned fire, it blew his launch to pieces and destroyed all his personal gear. So he wouldn't have had his guns.
Let's beam off Germ before he falls asleep.
I'm sorry, Germ, I forgot to do that.
See you, Germ.
Yeah, have a good night.
Buddy.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Sorry, guys, I'm a little behind tonight. It was crazy for me. My internet was down all day, as was the electricity. I was talking to the guys on my phone, and I'm like, everything's turned on for a moment now. Let me do this. The show was set up kind of wrong all day. I came home, I rushed in, I set up all the hashtags, did the best I could to complete this, and put a tile on this. It had nothing. It was just waiting to be finished, because I knew the internet might just be down for most of the day. Their estimate was it would come back up at 9 o'clock. That's when I started kicking the can on leaving my mom's house. Yeah, Mom, I'm just going to sit here and look at my phone for another hour.
Yeah,
I don't see anything wrong with that.
There's a lot of booms outside. You can see poor Dexter's.
Oh, he's not happy.
It'll be okay, Dexter. So at this point of the movie, Omar Bradley and Patton are talking about their different views of how to conduct this campaign. Bradley has a much more conservative view, and we have some colorful information about Patton's tank uniform, which I thought was great. I love the story of his tank uniform. I love the story of how he was warning them about all their equipment was garbage before the war. For those who didn't know, they shaved George bald and put this toupee on him.
They shaved his balls?
Yes.
That's what I heard.
Like a short scrotum. They shaved George's head bald as a coconut. And, well, coconuts are hairy. As bald as my scrotum. And they put a half toupee on him to give him Patton's look. But we can tell Patton's a really good political operator within the army, because at this point, something very pivotal happens for Patton. He sniffs out why Bradley's there and says, they sent you here to keep me in line because I'm insane. Hang on a minute. He gets on the phone and he's like, I'm not insane, and I want to have Brad here as my number 2. I think he'd be great. All right, thanks. And then he sits down and they're like, George, that was highly unorthodox. And while he's sitting there, he's like, they just didn't see things the way that I need to. Now you're working for me instead of spying on Eisenhower, spying for Eisenhower. And he's like, well, George, we'll get this done together. And while that's happening, he kind of snaps his fingers, and his aides walk over and pin another star in his uniform. And Bradley, who's like a real straight-laced soldier, says to him, he says to him, George, that has to be approved by Congress. And he's like, well, they have their schedule. I have mine, which is great.
Yeah.
And
and then they're changing everything. They put the other star on the Jeep. They give him one on his helmet. He's ready.
Yeah.
He is ready. We got a little bag of stars.
He's just dressed down everybody for being out of uniform, and now he's out of uniform.
Technically, yeah.
Technically. Although, let's face it, his ego was so huge that he changed the name of this from Operations Group Center to Fifth Army. He had to have like an army group. He had to be the leader of an army group. So it became the Fifth Army group when he took command.
Another super chat.
Admiral Teague, incoming
Thank you
super
so
chat.
much. Yeah, guys, keep an eye out for that. I feel bad for that. Dead Man, thank you for forgiving me and giving me yet another very generous $4 Greenlandian Greenback super chat. I'm sorry I was late on that one. Who did the best rendition of Star Spangled Banner? Jimi Hendrix, or Jimi Hendrix? Clearly, it really was Jimi Hendrix. Quick story about that. My father was at my dad. My dad was not there. My father, who put me up for adoption, the Vietnam guy, he was at Woodstock. He was a bit of a Forrest Gump in his traveling. He was a lot smarter than Forrest. I was the one who got Forrest intellect, but he was like he was in Vietnam and he was at Woodstock, which is pretty wild. And I asked him, like, I looked at him and I said, if you're anything like me, you left to beat the traffic and you didn't see Hendrix. And he's like, I left to beat the traffic. I didn't see Hendrix. Fuck it. I don't care. Yeah. So and that was the first time I ever met him. He was like, I can see we have a lot in common. But it was obviously the best Star Spangled Banner's Hendrix. Notable runners-up, Marvin Gaye with a deeply inspirational NBA 1980 All-Star Game one. Google that one. It's great. Unfortunately, they did not have it clean. They're talking over the introduction as it comes out. Cyndi Lauper does it the exact same way. A lot of people get mad at Cyndi Lauper. She has some woke views. Cyndi Lauper's album, She's So Unusual, was about what a weirdo she was, and it was written in 1979. This is well entrenched. Let's not just trash Cyndi. She sang, Sean, do you think we should give her a pass because she sang the national anthem at Game 7 of the 1986 World Series?
Yeah, she gets a pass. I mean,
yeah.
Two of my favorites. One, Whitney Houston in the Super Bowl has always been a standout. She did that wonderfully. She did it straight. She didn't go up and down and sing it in 10 minutes. And another one, there's several versions. Huey Lewis and the News did it a few times, and they were good. They were really good to see.
I'll pass her right off of a building. Commies get what commies get. Pass her right off a building.
Wait, who?
Pass from Cyndi Lauper.
Oh.
She's not a commie. She just has like weird woke views. But I think Cindy's gay. I think Cindy's gay, and I don't think she's that political. And she just wants to go out there and make her music and be a weirdo.
She just wants to have fun.
Yeah, you know what? She's around long enough that she's just a crazy old lady. I don't care about her views. And back when her views mattered, she didn't talk about them. So who cares? And I would just point this one out in Cindy's defense. One, she's from Queens. And two, they keep asking her. So, she's being antagonized by the fake media. So we'll give her that. Fergie was terrible. Christina Aguilera, unfortunately, just made a mistake that we're going to make sooner or later. All right. Today, we celebrate our Independence Day. I used that speech to start the show yesterday with all the British guests. On yesterday's show, I felt a little bit inadequate, guys. I was the only guest on that show who had not been on open bar. We'll see if we can fix that. All right, so Patton, he's not too pleased about this. He shows he knows how to work the chain of command, and he shuffles the deck so that Bradley's working for him. Here's him going around. I just love the arrogance as he's going around. Like, he's out of uniform and he's busting everyone for being out of uniform. Yes, he's not supposed to wear that third star yet. But that's Patton for you. I don't think you're also supposed to carry like a firearm that the Army retired 40 years earlier either. But that's Patton. Then we switch our point of view to the enemy. Rommel was not. They don't do a great Rommel job in this movie. Let me see if I can get Rommel on camera. We don't do a great job with Rommel in this movie in a lot of ways. Rommel. Here we go. By the way, war movie fans, is the guy talking to Rommel? Is that not Pluscott from The Longest Day? And this is on most versions of the movie. The subtitles are actually cut off. So poor Germ, I get where he was coming from, but the subtitles are cut off, and there's other subtitles on top of them, so it's really hard to read. British commanders and American troops, the worst of everything. Here's their movie's Rommel. War movies fans, is this Pluscott from The Longest Day on the left? I can't tell. Here's the thing. I don't know, but Gamer1745, who knows what he's talking about, said that he didn't think that Rommel ever had a leather jacket. And if he did, there's absolutely no way it was black. My answer was just, yeah, it was probably natural, and not thinking it through. What I didn't realize is they threw an SS jacket on him. They fucked up their uniform protocol here. So Rommel out of uniform. He's going back to Germany to talk to their number one guy, and we're getting ready for the first battle. And this is where we have our great little talk with the British about how they're going to stop screwing up the air cover. We had real life imitates art. In this case, art imitates life. Patton is getting into it with the British generals, and the British Air Marshal has said the Americans are scapegoating them for not fighting hard enough. And Patton's like, I'll be damned if I'm going to wet nurse Montgomery across North Africa. I'm not gonna take that shit from you either. And the guy's like, oh, I sincerely apologize for that remark. I sure didn't make it though. He knows not to make Patton angry, and he's showing a little bit of political skill, not making the great man angry. Just don't piss off Patton. And that moment, this is true. At that moment, a small air raid took place over the area where their headquarters was. It did minimal damage. It caused a lot of trouble. We saw some, good stuntsmanship and some good attack footage here. This action scene was just about the right pace for a 1970 movie that's not really an action movie. This movie has combat in it. The combat is minimal. This movie operates at the command level. I would say that you want to talk about war movies, you have combat movies like Full Metal Jacket and Platoon. Then you have war movies like The Imitation Game and Patton, where we see some combat, but it's mostly about things that happen behind the scenes or political or policy decisions. Sean, you look absolutely shocked. What happened? You're muted. Sir, you're muted, sir.
Sorry, there's just loud fireworks going on outside.
Is Dexter okay?
Yeah, he wanted to go upstairs with mommy.
Maybe some doggy Valium would help him out. Do they give?
We have some. We didn't give it to him early enough.
Oh, it'll kick in then.
It takes like 3 hours to kick in
for a dog.
Yeah, this specific stuff we have. Yeah, it takes a while.
Okay.
It really screws him up. But no, I was looking up that picture. I hope we share it later of Patton pissing in the Rhine River.
Oh, well, we definitely do have to share that one later. That's why Americans love this spunk. That like sold 1 million more war bonds right there. Nobody in the army thought that was all that great as far as his superiors, but the people on the home front who started opening up their wallets thought it was great. And right before he gets disciplined, if he was going to, because I'm sure that was the kind of thing they were going to call him up and be like, George, you have to stop acting like one of the enlisted men sometimes. You're the richest officer in the American army. Calm down and act normal. For most of this movie is kind of the story about him rebelling against acting normal in any way, shape, or form. This part of the movie is true. There's only one embellishment. I think I already told you what it is, right? You know what it is. This scene is largely accurate.
Oh yeah, the when he jumps out and shoots.
When he jumps out the window and starts firing back with his pistol, that's embellished for the movie. Even he knew that he needed to survive to command his army in battle the next day. He was very much looking forward to that battle against Rommel the next day, as we saw. He wakes up at like 11:30 at night to get ready to go to the battle. He is absolutely psyched to go there. So this air raid causes some problems, but at the end, there's some great sarcastic lines, like when he says to him, it's like you're, those German planes you said we weren't going to see, Sir Arthur. Would you like to tell me some more about them? That air support you said we were going to get. You want to tell me some more? And he jumps out on the terrace. And that's when the movie kind of tells you it's going too far, because Omar Bradley's played by Carl Malden goes, "Damn it, George, knock it off. We need a corps commander, not a casualty." And it's like, come on, shoot me right in the nose, because he's just told that story about how he wants to, he's always been afraid of getting shot in the nose. Something that P. Diddy did to that woman when he got in trouble in New York with the former Mrs. Affleck. And then we have this scene where, like, these men, I don't know how much he cared about his men. I think he cares about these guys so much more than the guys who are still alive, because he feels like they died for him with honor. This part, I'm going to ask Krimwan and Sean, is this his most 16th century moment when he walks around talking about the duel with Rommel and how he's going to post a guard 24/7, and he doesn't want the Arabs digging up the graves. He wants them, but our graves aren't going to disappear like everyone else who's fought here, the Romans and the Carthaginians. And he's overwhelmed by this sense of history, and it's his original aide is with him. And this is when he gets the line. He says to him, it's like your poetry, General, just not part of the 20th century.
Mm-hmm.
And
a lot of his actions in here are 16th century. Even the Germans are making note of it. They're like predicting where he's going to go.
They know one of the things is it's kind of good that some of his plans got co-opted, because the Germans overestimated how much we listened to him. They thought that he was probably number one tactical guy. They didn't know that he was number one tactical genius, but that we thought he was too crazy to listen to all the time, and that we had to run his advice by Bradley. That's honestly what Eisenhower thought. And the Germans were like, so he slapped a couple of soldiers. They had no idea what Americans were like. It's like, there's no way they're going to relieve their greatest general because he slapped some coward. So, like, that whole Operation Ultra where he misleads them about D-Day works better than we thought. They say that up to 2 German divisions, 28,000 German combat troops were held up because of that move. Hitler held them in reserve. Yeah. So here he is at the graveyard. And I've spoken enough. Let's get some thoughts about the movie up to this point. And this is where he reveals his character. The exposition really hasn't been done yet. He's going to tell you about himself first, and then the German's going to have a little catch up next, I believe. Krimwan, are you there?
I thought you were sharing it.
I'm not going to share it. Why don't you tell us what you thought about the graveyard sequence with Patton and his aide?
Awfully cold, sir.
It seemed like they were just sleeping on the job. I mean, good old dirt nap.
What about the fact that he was the level of respect he had for the men who had died in his service and how he wasn't going to let them be desecrated? And, here he's really proud.
I can respect him on that one. I think they did a service on this, at least, showing respect for the, his own soldiers that have died during that time period. Just to not be desecrated, which, beyond dishonorable at that point, but
they no longer have any problems. They've died, but he is a 16th century man at heart, and he's like, I won't have their bodies dishonored. I mean, none of us want it. One of the features of the American Army is they know that if they get one of ours, we'll risk a rescue operation for any wounded soldier and a recovery operation for any body, and that's when we really unleash on the bad guys. Like, if you mess with us while we recover our guy, like, we might just use a little too much force and go a bit too far in a few places. This sequence in the graveyard is followed up by the sequence where he says, if I had my way, I'd send that bastard Rommel an engraved imitation and iambic pentameter, inviting him to meet me on a field of honor. We'd stop our tanks about 50 yards apart, get out, shake hands, button up, do battle, and that engagement would decide the outcome of the war. He meant it, and he wanted it. What do you think? Let's start with Sean. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I think you're right. Like he's borderline obsessed. I mean, we see it later in the movie where he's willing to let a lot of people get injured and killed.
I wouldn't think borderline. I think he actually is obsessed.
Hi, Darth Vader.
Yeah, he is, but he's obsessed. But it's also, you almost need someone who's like that. It's like I was thinking about this watching the whole movie. This is a war. I mean, you have to have someone in there who is willing to win. You're going to lose men. You are going to lose equipment. You're going to lose supplies and all that stuff. And you. Is there a point where that can go too far? And I think that's part of what could be fairly asked about Patton.
He's walking this line, how much of the 16th century he can pull forward to fight as an honorable warrior.
I mean, yeah, he does say in the movie, he goes, God, I hate the 20th century or something like that. The world grew up, what a shame. Or it was something to that effect.
I think it was a good balance between Patton and the rest of the generals. If you look at it, they were all really conservative with the way they handled things, more fighting to conserve the amount of soldiers they had, and try to, in trying to win the war. And he was just almost exactly the polar opposite, where he wanted to win. Yes, he wanted to keep his soldiers, but he wanted to win. So more than anything else, he had that absolute faith that what he was doing was right.
You know what? I agree. And I just want to answer this very good question. By command movie, there's several kinds of war movies. Some of them operate on the command level. And yes, you could describe it perfectly. Military leadership, the chain of command, and institutional authority of the commanders. And that even includes a movie like The Imitation Game, where they designed the code breaking computer, the first ever computer.
For the Enigma
code. Yeah. I mean, I know Angelina Jolie directs it, but she's not in it. And it's actually like the only performance by Benedict Cumberbatch where I think he does a good job. I think he's a kind of mediocre actor, to be honest with you, with a somewhat suspect hairline, but that's a different story. I think that we've got these command level movies, and that might even consist of a movie where you're doing a like the story of a non-violent but very pivotal spy mission, or a disinformation campaign where you're dumping counterfeit money on the Germans. Combat movies are more, Band of Brothers, Saving Private Ryan. The command decisions are being made. We see them. We know why they're being made, or they depend on our knowledge of history. Saving Private Ryan, so long after the war, we get that quick scene in Washington Movie trivia. Do you know why the scene in Schindler's List, the scene in Saving Private Ryan, and the scene in The Shining are in there? Do you know why those? You know how those scenes got into those movies? They all came off the same script.
They all what? Sorry, there's like a machine
broke up
guns
there.
going on outside.
Yeah,
You guys
figured
hear
New
it?
York would be worse. I can hear the popping. It's good for a war movie. You know what? Sean is being shelled right now.
Yeah, I got a lot of artillery shells going off above me also.
Oh, there's a finale or something.
It's kind of
Wow.
like farting very heavily, right? All right, so like we said, we got the command missions, and then we command level war movies, the combat level war movies, and then you have outlier war movies where there's a war in the movie, but it's not really a war movie. Piece of shit movie that wastes Bruce Willis's amazing talent, Farts War, where they just do nothing. It's just a long movie about boringness. That is about that's just a jail movie that takes place in war, as is The Dirty Dozen, which is a great war movie. The Dirty Dozen has enough war movie in it to count as war movie, but the operational way The Dirty Dozen works is a lot closer to the Shawshank Redemption than it is to Patton. That's not really a war movie. That's an outlier. And we got our special mission movies, Dirty Dozen, etc. Let's see what other comments we've got in here. Full Metal Jacket is the opposite of that classification. Which one would that be, Darth Plato? Let's go back. Command. Okay, yeah. It's the chain of command in Full Metal Jacket. Actually, good point. As their second half of the movie combat mission goes on, the lieutenant gets killed. Touchdown gets killed by artillery walking behind the tank. Then they send out the patrol. The patrol gets mangled. They lose the patrol leader. Then Cowboy is in charge. You're down to nobody's first or second choice is now in charge. Cowboy gets lost, fucks up, gets ambushed, gets taken out, gets a lot more of them killed. And then they have to go on the unnecessary, but they can't walk away from it, mission of vengeance at the end of Full Metal Jacket. There's a high chance to be made, a strong case to be made that the end of Full Metal Jacket is a microcosm of the breakdown of the chain of command that happened in the war itself. People stop listening to orders. People stop acting in a military manner. At the end, that final assault on the sniper is the way you go after a rival street gang. They just bum rushed, firing everything. That was not military. They're like, okay, we're going to surround the building, go in from 3 different. No.
Yeah.
Just crazed, and they were bloodthirsty like we see in very few movies. So that's a combat movie. That needed to be explained. All right. So listen, Patton, 16th century man, showing it in a lot of ways in this movie. You got to love it.
Yeah, a lot of I sorry if I'm distracted. I'm reading a lot of the stuff in the chat. You guys have some really good stuff to say.
We have amazing chat thoughts. You guys have seen this next sequence I've lifted this one after he's got these guys under control, after he's got the Brits to say they're going to give him some air support, after he's really whipped his army into shape and has them more scared of him than they are of the enemy. He's got them ready for a major offensive. He gets some intel, something that he throughout the movie shows contempt for, but in real life Patton understood intel. The movie is a little inaccurate like that. But he gets some intel. He finds out the Germans are moving in force. He wakes up at like 11:30 at night. He went to sleep 10 minutes earlier. He's still got his glasses on. He's reading Rommel's book. He's doing extensive research. I was reading Patton's diary all day today when I had a chance, Sean. He was so meticulous, that he learned how to understand key phrases in Arabic. And also, he didn't let on to the people in the occupied country that he spoke French until they gigged him on it. He was he was letting them have their private conversations, thinking he didn't know. And then, he was when he was trying to speak to them in French later, he was struggling for a word, and the Sultan, who gives him the award at the beginning of the movie Patton, that guy's heavily featured in the diary. That guy corrects him in English, giving away that he spoke in English the whole time. And up until then, what they were doing is he was speaking in Arabic to a French translator who spoke to Patton's French translator, and Patton would get it in French. Yeah. So this part of the movie, I thought this was really powerful. He's girding for war. This is like a medieval knight putting on his armor. He's got his squire. And I thought there was amazing coincidence of history that his aide's name is George. I thought that was great. You're muted, Sean. You're still muted.
At some point, he'll figure it out.
Oh, he's muted on another part of the device. There you go.
One word. Okay, he said one word.
There you go. All right, Sean.
No, yeah. No, 3 words.
Three words.
Yeah, we're gonna do it in charades from now on. Sean will be on as the charades interpreter. He's our sign language interpreter for the Nelson Mandela funeral that's coming up after the show.
Wait. Said. Second word. Little. Give. Said a give.
All right. George and George, his aide, are getting ready for this first battle. There's a great piece of music playing. It's haunting yet driving. It's real. This is Jerry Goldsmith's best score. Anyone want to argue that? It's better than Star Trek: The Motion Picture. That's just his best Star Trek score by far. It's a great score. It's up there in his top 5, but this is number 1 by every stretch of the imagination. There is no Jerry, and Jerry Goldsmith has a lot of close number 2s, but this is just a really good number 1 score. What anyone want to comment quickly on the score here? Because they're using what's called leitmotif. Williams uses it too. Every character kind of has his own theme music. Patton has the haunting trumpets and the bagpipes. Did anyone else notice that all the instruments used for Patton's music are marshalling instruments? That's drums, bagpipes, which are Celtic instruments of war, reflecting his Scottish roots, and bugles. And church organs, which are associated with, military funerals. So all military associated instruments, and of course the drums. I thought that this part was especially telling. They're girding him up for war. This is like a knight putting on his armor. Anyone want to comment about how they felt watching this scene? It's like, I've all my life wanted to lead a group of men in a desperate battle. Now I'm going to get my chance. Does anybody have any thoughts about this and what he said?
I feel like this dude was just a theater kid growing up.
Well, George C. Scott certainly was. Yeah, he's a prima donna. He says it later in the movie, right?
You know what though? He admits it. Yeah, but he was a prima donna, and he is, he's associating the look, with his pistol and his outfit and all the pomp and circumstance and stuff. But he was a brave motherfucker, man. I mean, that guy was not afraid of being in the middle of a battle. So I mean, you gotta hand it to him. He was not. I mean, he backed it up. In
this sequence,
really
one of the things that stood out in my mind is he brought 3 personal weapons into battle with him. Tell me he wasn't hoping for single combat. He was so hoping that a couple of German officers would break. It's like some rank, a major,
he goes, I want to get
colonel.
my tank and Rommel and his, and we'll shake hands and go to 20 paces. And the winner of that fight wins the war. Like, and he wanted that.
Think about it. He pulls out a 45, cocks it. That's his service revolver to be compliant with military. But you also have to wonder, did he kill some people with that gun in that early Mexican punitive campaign where he does the first ever drive-by attack, where he does the first ever, right? He does the first ever drive-by shooting.
Did he really?
He really is. He's credited with the check.
Did he hold it? Did he hold it sideways when he was?
Yes. Sean, can you help me find the Trek Guardians chat? Did I miss it?
No, in the Trek Guardians on X.
Oh, wait, but we're only on YouTube.
No, I know. I don't. This is just in our subspace private chat there.
Oh, I understand. Okay,
But I want to see you open it. I want to see your reaction.
I'm not going to do it on air because I don't know what's on it. But I love the Trek.
Don't
Guardian,
show it. No, you can't show it.
Yeah, the Trek reviewer. I'm not going to show it, and also I think he's a great guy, so I don't fucking care what is on his X. He's an awesome person, and he's here for all the shows, and I love his Star Trek opinions, and I love his Star Trek takes. All right, so
no, not the Trek reviewer.
Wait. Yeah, I was going to say Trek. Wait. Our
group chat.
Yeah, our group chat is.
Grimlon, you can look at it.
One day we
All right,
will
let
have
me take a
a.
look here.
One day we will have a. One day we will have a show called like How Weird We Really Are, where we'll show you our group chat and our private chat. We'll do our show, then we'll have the member stream afterwards, and you can look at the
some of it.
We'll take out all the racial pejoratives.
Or Nick Cage, Nick Cage naked riding a T-Rex.
Okay. Pissing in the rhyme was never so funny. I would just like to point out that I was told by my people, don't think about this guy too much. And I've been doing a good job of it. And look what they've done is they have lampooned him for me every day so that I don't have to, and that made me laugh at like what's been a bit of a problem. Just moving on. I thought this Girding for War was just as serious as any swords and sorcerer movie. It's like he's got his magic pistols. He's got his 45. He's got his field glasses. Everything here, like he is girded for war. And also, by the way, he's wearing his tie.
Mm-hmm.
He's going into battle dressed exactly the way he's supposed to. He's finally uniform compliant. I'm assuming Congress approved that, and he's got the right to wear that third star now. They head out to the battle, and then we get a bunch of stuff. And what can I say? Here's one of there are so many moments in this movie where we see, and it's meme after meme. Here's one. I read your book. This is one of the memes. This is a big meme. By the way, they've cleared most of the Patton memes off of X and Facebook. Facebook has no GIFs and memes anyway. It's the worst. So anyway, Patton, he's like surveilling people here. What I thought was cool is they show him looking through the field glasses a lot, which, yeah, that's a commanding thing to do, but it also reminds you he overcame dyslexia to be a general because he wanted this. He is so hoping that some German soldier, maybe someone with some rank, hopefully at least a major, break through the lines with their Luger so he can pull out his pistol and gat that guy down. Like, that is what is, like, he's like, my plan's working excellent, but it doesn't look like I'm going to get personal combat today. Damn, no personal combat again.
Well, he does take out 2 donkeys.
He does do that. I want to ask you guys a question, though. In the sequence before this, when he's looking in the mirror, when he says, all my life, I've waited for a chance to lead a bunch of guys in a desperate battle. Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to get my chance. What does he mean by that?
He wants he wants to be the pitcher at the bottom of the ninth, come in to get the final strikeout like Rick Vaughn.
But when he says all my life, when we consider his view of life, does he mean he's been waiting like 6,000 years? You know what I mean?
Oh,
it's all his life. He's had thousands of years of life. He said
because he never says that he was a commander.
Conflict.
He just said he was there, right?
Fought.
He never said that he fought.
He always says he was a foot soldier in most of them. He always says he dies as a heroic foot soldier. Like In a Glass Darkly is a very long poem. It's quite inspiring. It's from it's from a biblical quote. I believe it's Revelations. You can see these things as through a glass and darkly.
That's the one
and
he wrote.
Yeah, it's the poem. It's inspired Star Trek. It's inspired Patton. And it's like the through line here is Jerry Goldsmith, right? This, while he's talking, like there's the most amazing choices made by Planet of the Apes director Franklin J. Schaffner, who directs this movie. He decides, I'm not going to have this thunderous soundtrack. We're going to have the sounds of war. We have the thundering engines of tanks, the reports of the guns, the blast, the screaming of the shells. We have the firing back. We have some screams of confusion. The soldiers are like the human toll of war, and no music, nothing, no grandiosity. They're moving forward with it in a way that kind of makes sense. And of course, we get one of the greatest quotes in movie history. And of course, this has to go on here. All right. When everyone saw this movie, we thought, what a great stunt man, right? No. What a drunk Spanish army soldier. He fell.
Really? This was an accident?
Not a stunt.
Wow.
In fact, I'm having a hard. The only reason I don't think he lost his fingers is he isn't trying to pull his arm back.
He got lucky.
He got real. This was like, it was like a young John Landis was a production assistant on this one. He's like, I can use dangerous stuff like that to make movies. Let's just watch the moment. That is something, and it really, like, I'm going to give Franklin J. Schaffner credit. That guy didn't die. Hopefully he bought him dinner that night or sent him like a case of beer. That did so much to get you into this movie. I was like, whoa, these guys are fucking serious. All that went through my mind years later, because I saw this as a little kid. Years later when I was watching, I'm like, I guess it was a fiberglass tank. But no, this was a real tank.
Yeah, that's a real tank.
At the Czech factory that made the German tanks. It's made off the same frame and the same schematic, but it's a 1970s tank. It was made by the Czechs. That's what Gamer 1745 told me. He said their war porn, as I call it when I do movie reviews, their war porn is really good, but it's more modern. But they do have these fascist soldiers didn't have to get into character too hard. They were already in a fascist army. The Spanish had their fascist regime falls in 1976, just in time for disco. But I thought they got to celebrate. It was like Franco dies. We've got disco. John Travolta's a big star. We love it. And then we have this moment. But Patton, I thought one of his more remarkable lines is like, what a waste of fine infantry. And then we see that Patton is a good diplomat. Here comes that air support that he absolutely effing demanded. There's just not a lot of World War II era planes, and I don't know if these are remote control. I'm going to guess that they went with realism, because if you went with radio-controlled planes, you would have had a whole lot more. With planes, it's a lot easier than ships. There's no perspective over about 25 feet in the air. You can't tell how big the models are. You can do great Foley art. The smoke is not like water. A puff of smoke in the background without perspective is not like when you're sailing a miniature ship in a bathtub and that drop of water gives away the size of your ship. Yeah. Drops of water are consistent with the tensile strength of water. The only movie where the ship is big enough to make the water look right is Titanic. And what was their ship? 130 feet long. So it was the size of like a real yacht anyway. Yeah. And I think they even still use CGI to make the wake more foamy and to make it break the waves harder.
Yeah. I don't know, because I know they had, at least in that other scene when they're strafing the headquarters there, that I think those were real planes.
We're looking out of the cockpit, but they could have put that onto another plane or a helicopter. We just don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think they did have. Right, if anyone's going to have him, it's Franco, Hitler's ally. This guy was down with Hitler. I mean, he was friends with him. One of the other weirdest things is when the state of Israel was established, no one would sell them arms except the Yugoslavians, and the only weapons they could get were weapons from leftover World War II German defense plants. So the early Israeli Air Force was all Focke-Wulf 109s. They were all standard German fighter planes.
Well, I turned on my Intertron, and it does say that they were real planes.
I thought so.
They were from the Spanish Air Force.
I knew that.
They two CASA-2-111s, twin-engine bombers, which were Spanish-built versions of the German Heinkel HE-111.
Yes. Okay,
so they're authentic looking and they're real, but they're Spanish made.
They were used in war, but war against his own people to keep them in line. These have bombed a bunch of innocent people. But you know what? This is just the same thing they did in Apocalypse Now. The Filipino army wasn't that honorable until we straightened out that country a little more. And we used their helicopters for the attack sequences. So I thought they were real planes, because if they're going to go radio controlled, you would have filled the sky. So 2 real planes. I'm going to say this very small air raid of authentic planes, let's face it, it's a 10 to 20 plane raid in real life. It was very much more effective than a 30 plane radio controlled plane raid, because it's just the actual, like, I don't know if it was Foley art, but I've been to a few air shows. Those engines sounded pretty authentic and pretty dangerous, and the point of view of the pilots looking out it's
usually Foley, because they have to film from such a distance. It's not going to sound as loud as what we hear in the movie. So that's all Foley.
I'm wondering if it's Foley sourced off the engine, though, right? You could bring the
it was probably the authentic engine sound, but they were probably recording it like as close as I am. They probably they dub it over.
It's been my experience. What they would do is they would blend the real engine sound to give it the depth and dynamics of the environment in with the Foley art. So they would have like a real. And this movie's sound design is great. Honestly, this movie one of the better sound designed movies. And you know what? We're a little behind schedule, but we're going to get to the part of the movie where Patton goes low energy and gets depressed soon anyway. So don't worry, guys. We're still on pace for a 3-hour review, which I think for the 4th of July, our Independence Day, is appropriate. I think he looks absolutely like Patton here. He looks just like the real Patton. And this is all acting. He's scrunched up his face. He's made that crazy expression. And the decision just was, you've got a more heroic voice. You're going to talk in your own speaking voice. Don't bother trying to sound like Patton, because we know George C. Scott could have done it. And this is the you magnificent bastard, I read your book. At that moment, like, a beat down America that's losing in Vietnam must have loved, a lot of World War II veterans must have found this to be a welcome relief in the theater, huh? As many years as we are out from Star Trek Enterprise, remembering the glory days.
Yeah.
So, as we know, the battle is won, and unfortunately, Patton's aide is killed. And this really messes up Bradley. It seems to Patton, he's not happy his aide is dead, but like he has a certain sense of deep pride that the guy died with like such honor and was gallant and exposing himself to great danger and was wearing completely proper uniform when he was killed by that German bomb. Like,
well, he even said he held no vices.
Didn't gamble, didn't drink, didn't play cards, didn't womanize, and like this was just like he was writing the letter to his parents, right? Or no, it was his diary entry. I enclosed a lock of Dick's hair, letter to his parents. There are no coffins here, as there is no wood. The voiceovers from C. Scott are amazing. He is just an amazing narrator of this movie from his diary entries, and here's where we get Cod is going to show up soon, but there's Corby again behind him. He's like, General, really, sir, your sentience doesn't have to pass into the robot. We can just make a robot Patton, sir, please. I can fix your aid as easy as another man can fix a broken finger. Just let me make a clone of a robot duplicate of everybody. We can win this war.
But when this guy gets back, he should not be treated as a major.
What would be why? Because he
No, like remember you were talking about Picard shouldn't have been called an admiral because he was a robot.
Oh yes, that's true. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm guessing that because in Star Trek everyone looks alike, this is simply a Corby ancestor, the way Brent Spiner's descendants all look exactly like him. So this is just a Corby ancestor. That's my theory, and that maybe sometimes Corby would go to the recreation room, as it was the holodeck was called at that point, and try and cosplay as his famous ancestor, right? The great Roger Corby, ladies and gentlemen. This guy was such a good character actor. He was well cast as Corby because he's dry and scientific here too. My guess is this guy came from like crime and police TV show. He's like, this guy's a detective or a captain of detectives or a lead investigator or a really gifted burglar. That's this guy's niche.
Yeah. We've got a note in the backstage there.
Uh-oh. Okay, Krimwan. I did not notice this, but Krimwan, he missed the Pride Parade. He's going to get into the time transporter and go back to June to celebrate the Pride Parade. And I guess it'll just be you and me. So that Sean, we'll probably rip through the rest of this movie pretty quick. So Krimwan, what's going on your channel? Oh, that's right. Krimwan's just one of our pundits. He'll be back here soon. Are you going to catch up with are you going to do us a favor and like binge watch not Landman, Dutton Ranch, so that you can be there for episode 9 for a big discussion, and Radioactive binge it too. It's still like really watchable.
Yeah, actually I did get the latest episode loaded. I have not watched the latest one. I have binge watched most of it. I'm actually quite enjoying it.
Might be a little better than Landman by the time it hits episode 5. Or at least Landman season 2, where we got confused in the middle.
Season 2, definitely. Season 1, no. I liked Landman season 1 too much, but it's actually a pretty good show.
It's a lot better than 1923. If you thought that was a great show.
Oh, definitely.
1923 just had one really great character, and Harrison Ford doing some good acting. Anyway,
there was nothing else on that show that was good.
Thank you for your contributions. Anything you want to say about the great George Patton or the great United States before you leave us?
Yes. May we continue another 250 years and don't submit to the tyranny of communism.
Never. And as a member of our nation's armored forces, what's your opinion of George S. Patton? George Smith Patton. All right. One of the genius of war, perhaps.
Yes, he is the tank god.
He is the tank god. All right, Krimwan, we're going to beam you back down to your home, where unfortunately you'll have to hang out with your wife and mom. Bye.
Yes.
See
Bye.
Radioactive on here.
Having Krimwan here. Yeah, send Radioactive a pass.
I don't have the means to send him.
All right, I'll send Radioactive a pass.
Yeah, he's not in the chat, but it would be great. I would love to hear his takes on some of this stuff.
He might be playing Helldivers, but we'll never finish in 3 hours anyway. But you know what? During the week, we've had a couple of pretty brief talk shows. We use the member stream well. There's only so many people who want to do 4 hours. We could like member it maybe twice a month for those marathon streams and pay no penalty for it. I think what's been going on in the YouTube world the last few months has given me new insight in how YouTube intends for you to use their tools. And I don't know if this is true. Sean, you and I have worked for corporations and gotten dressed down, called out in the carpet and told, go do a better job the way we want it done, asshole. And you know what? We'll get them on here in a minute. What do you think? YouTube didn't tell people what they were doing wrong because they wanted them to really think hard. I think that's why they were vague. I think they want you to overthink it.
I think it's partly that, and it's partly because when they tell you what they want, it tells the people that are cheating and doing the AI stuff how to get around it.
Well, we just saw that done effectively by unlisting a bunch of streams bad faith last minute. So people already know how to cheat.
Yeah.
We just saw the system effectively get, you know what? I'm going to take that back. It's not fair to call it cheating. Somebody whose gift is gaming the system did what they're best at, gamed the system. And you know what? Unless there are changes, it's just going to happen again. And you're not going to be, how many times are you going to game the system before it's like, what Scotty and Jill with a card table? It's like rambling on for 7 hours about Hudson Hawk is a great idea. Change our minds. They're going back for part 2 on that one, by the way. Okay, now that we thoroughly embarrassed ourselves, here he is.
Good movie, though.
You know, it is a good movie. Andy McDowell's hot. Here he is. It's Mark D with a C.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, I hope you guys can hear me. I'm in my mobile command center, so you know, away from home. So hopefully, I'm coming through in the
you look
correctly
good
here, right?
Chet Hansen built that rig for you, right?
Yeah, it takes a while to set everything up with the damn laptop. I mean, stone knives and bear skins. No,
that was a quick line from the movie. When they go to Bradley's command vehicle, whatever that thing is, I guess it's pulled by a truck, but it's able to be put on like a railroad car. He's like, Chet Hansen built this for me. Chet Hansen is the guy who wrote the source book, A Soldier Story, for Bradley. He is, I think, Roger Corby in this movie. The guy who plays Roger Corby, the colonel who's always hanging around with Bradley. That's Bradley.
Yeah, he's in the middle screenshot there. Christine.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Christine, it's me.
Yeah, this is after Patton's aide was shot and was killed in the air raid. Now, were you a little disappointed in this scene, Mark, when he didn't say to him, George, just let me have Dick's body. I can fix this as easy as another man can fix a broken hand.
Right? Well, that was, and what was poignant about that was, no, I haven't been able to listen to you guys because my family wanted me to hang out with them. So, yeah, that was when he has a line about our graves not disappearing and they're going to station soldiers there. And,
I love that line. Yeah, he's got so much respect. I think that's his 15th century moment. First, he's like, our graves aren't going to disappear like everyone else who fought here. Quick history overview. And then just waxing poetic for the duel while some of the most haunting music in the whole the music's discordant. It's crazy sounding, but it's still recognizably military. And one of the things we talked a little about the soundtrack. Did you ever notice that all the musical instruments in the Patton soundtrack are associated with war and death? We have the funeral organ, drums, and we have some flutes and fifes, and we have bugles and bagpipes, which are the Celtic war instruments celebrating Patton's Scottish heritage. So I'm thinking Jerry Goldsmith just overthinks everything. Is this his best soundtrack? And what do you think?
It's up there because I own the soundtrack and listen to it occasionally. I have it on my wall actually in my office. The vinyl, which the B side has some of Patton's speeches. And the amazing thing too is if you listen to Patton, hated his voice, so his voice was very high pitched, and
it wasn't as high pitched as he thought. He was pretty vain, but it's pretty high.
Yeah, it's high. Yeah, so when you listen,
he kind of talks like this. It wasn't bad. It wasn't disrespectfully high. He wouldn't be like, George, you sound like a bitch, but he's like, let me tell you something. Like that was kind of George's, like when Bill Clinton gets hoarse.
Yeah, but everyone hates their voice too. Typically, when they hear it on, hear it recorded,
I love the sound.
It's all right, but you're in love with yourself. But just kidding. But
well,
Monica was hoarse. He goes, I have something that'll make your throat feel better.
Have a cigar.
From natural
on the flip side of that album, you can actually hear the version I have. There's a lot of Patton speeches, his actual voice there, and it's an album of all his famous speeches, and he's swearing like an MFer, sanitized for this movie. So, which is a funny thing.
I did the speech with real cursing because you could tell what curses were written out by Francis Ford Coppola, who we talked about this a little bit before, but is this not one of the tightest and most realistic screenplays? So well sourced. In fact, I was reading Patton's Bible again today. It struck me how Patton would wear a brown shirt and I was reading Patton's commentaries today, and one of the things he said is, we just moved through Casablanca, which is a combination of history which is a combination of Hollywood and the Bible.
In the Bible,
I was like, whoa! It was so well researched. Francis Ford Coppola is a much better writer than he is a director.
With the book, this was. How do you say his Leildas Fargo? I can never say. I own his books, but Wars, I Knew It. I think was one of the, and Patton Ordeal and Triumph.
Ladislas Farrago.
Yeah,
we're all guessing on that guy. We're all guessing on that guy. Unfortunately, that book's not on Audible, so I wasn't able to listen to the Patton.
I own that book in hardcover, and then you can get it on. I think you can get it on Kindle now, but I guess you could have the Kindle could read it to you, and it's robot voice. But that's
I like robots.
If you're, thank you, Nurse Chapel. If you're want to get into Patton and read more about him, I'd say that's you go to the that's part of the source material of the book. But there's so many books on Patton. I've read a ton of them. You remember the video game that came out with Patton in the 80s?
No.
Yeah, there's a video game on Patton. I mean, it's primitive CGA video game. I was trying to dig it up, but of course I'm down in Jersey now. But that was a really cool game. And there's also a game called Scirocco, which has Patton on the cover. It's Patton versus Rommel. It's a strategy, desert combat game. And it's an okay game, but you're like anything that had Patton on the cover would buy it. But
I just find it's ironic they called it the Scirocco. It's like the Volkswagen Scirocco. It's like so like we're gonna name this Patton game after a car started by a company Hilter started. Made by a company Hilter started.
Yep, and in many ways this is not a war movie. I have to say too. If you're expecting a war movie, there's only there's what is it, 3 big battles, but it's more of a character study and analysis of Patton and prepping for war and what it takes to get the job done. And so it's not an all-out, there's like some exciting scenes. I don't know if you talked about where it was a Spanish army that was
we went into detail.
I'm sure you mentioned it. Yeah, and like one of the guys almost got killed, run over by the tank, and that's in the movie. He wasn't.
We were talking about that. Yeah,
about that.
I only know. Yeah. I found that out from someone though. I was talking to Tom Connors about the movie Patton, and I'm like, that great stunt with the extra dives under the tank. He's like, that's not a stunt.
That's no stunt. Yeah,
yeah, that's no mood.
How much are you gonna pay me for that one, right? So
I was gonna say, I hope he gave the guy a case of beer at least. It's like, way to go, because that. You know what? That 1 second in the movie, it's so brutal and so real. And it's like, I guess like the best cinema verite is real cinema, right? It was actually real. Yeah. It's like that, like just, it was such a chaotic visual. And you see this guy
Radioactive is back.
Trying to submerge himself. Radioactive, I'm going to send you a pass. He's trying to submerge himself into the, below the surface of the earth, try to get away from the tank. He's like digging his way to China, and he just barely survives. And the Planet of the Apes director is just like, way to go. Thanks a lot. Great shot.
Yeah.
It's like what do you tell yourself? It's like, well, if the war happened today, he'd be on Hitler's side anyway. It's a fascist army. So we'll let
Mark Teague was saying that guy, that tank scene when that guy fell, they said a young John Landis was studying that scene or something.
Yeah, I could do something like this with helicopters.
Yeah,
cinema verite is cool. Radioactive, you have a pass. I just sent it out to you via subspace.
You imagine if the guy was run over, though. I guess they couldn't use it in the movie. Not hard, as horrible as it would be, but.
He was run over, but he wasn't hurt because
it went through the middle of between the treads. Yeah.
The thing that really confuses me is this: it looks like it takes off all his fingers, But since we see the whole thing, he doesn't try to pull his arm away. So he's okay. He's just not moving. He's like, any movement at this point would be foolish. And I would say he made the right choice. Because we find out he survived. Although, it wouldn't be beyond Hollywood. It's like, George, to get into the character, this guy knows too much. Would you like to go kill him? Give me that Patton pistol. When was the last time this thing took a life? Yeah, I mean, just to get into character. But this is where he finds out that Rommel, now that you're all caught up, this is where he finds out that Rommel wasn't in command. Severe nasal diphtheria. I don't know if I believe that. Mark, what was your impression of Patton at this point?
There's a message from below, Admiral.
I see.
No, but it's just that's when but that's when he says, "I read your damn book." It's and Dick comes in and is it what's his name? Oh, Richard. What's his
Cod.
name? Codman. Yeah, Codpiece. Yeah, and says, "Well, General, he used your he wasn't there, but the general
surely Rommel devised the plan. If you beat Rommel's plan, surely you've beaten Rommel." And he's like, while he's lighting up a cigar, and while he's lighting up a cigar, I think the other thing he says, he's like, what did he say? He's like, let's face it, Hitler just didn't want to see his best general take a black eye from the Americans. Like just stroking Patton's ego, and it's like, this is the perfect aid for Patton.
Yeah,
like,
he gives that smile on his face, like,
guy.
I'm gonna keep this guy around for a little while.
Yeah,
he's like, he's like, who the hell are you? It's like, I'm Colonel Codman, sir. And he's like, I brought you in here because I know your family. It's like, what kind of a bunkmate were you at West Point to this guy's dad? Like, what kind of stories has he heard about Patton? It's like, yeah, I remember that punitive expedition to Mexico. George killed a bunch of banditos and tied them to the hood of the car like a deer. It's pretty fucked up.
First mechanized action by the American Army.
We mentioned that, and when he's girding for war to go out to the battle, when he pulls out that 45 that he brings just for compliance, because you gotta love a general who brings 3 personal weapons into battle with him. He was so hoping for personal combat. Do you think that 45 was what he used in that assault? I'm thinking he's like, this is my lucky gun. I already killed like 5 guys with it. I like this fucking gun.
Well, plus he was very wealthy too. I'm sure you also talked about that, but he was extremely wealthy, and is on one side of the family were actually some of the founders of California, and I believe Los Angeles, Don Benito Wilson, L.A. Yep. So he was very moneyed. That's why he pulled
San Marino,
horses, and extremely, so being in the army, he didn't need
that out of choice. He wanted to be a soldier. He loved it.
Yeah.
The other weird thing is this: the Pattons were independently wealthy before they met those people. So it was money marrying money. He became stupid rich. He had like 3 wineries. He had like the entire town of San Marino, California, with their personal estate. There's a mountain named after his grandfather, and the town of Huntington is named after his other grandfather. How did I do pronouncing that, Sean? Better?
There you go. Yeah.
But I love this, and I thought, the flattering of him was great. This is foreshadowing later when things are really bad, and Cod's like, I'm going to open this bottle of cognac in celebration of you leading the Overlord invasion, sir. It's like, this is kind of like backstage after our show, how Sean and Jerm have to talk to me.
Not like last week when you said, "Oh, I'm a bad YouTube host," and I said, "No, you're just a bad person."
I'm both. So
that was a joke.
We don't have as many concurrents as Jill. It's like, but Admiral, by Tuesday you'll have more people who have watched your show than Jill. Surely, if you outdraw Jill, you have beat Jill. I'm kidding, but you know what? I need a Rommel. I need someone to go up against. Please give me a Rommel. Give me a Rommel. All I keep getting is these, like Mussolini sidekick henchmen generals. Like, give me a real Axis enemy. Someone I can fight and win. Here's Cod. You got to wonder, was Cod maybe held back in the army because of religious affiliation, and Patton's giving him a break? Because Patton doesn't give a shit about any of that. No. And early on in his diary, he said, I just finished reading the Koran. Interesting book. He was going to go be in charge of Tunisia. He was like, I'm going to damn well read the Koran and understand what they, how they do. No. Great casting through this whole movie.
Oh yeah, no. And then George C. Scott just embodies Patton. And of course, they filmed that first, when he's all decked out, that was filmed, was that filmed last or first? I'm forgetting.
I don't know, but I think it might have been, you might have needed to film that first just to get George fired up.
I think it was first. I should know that because I've watched this movie 100 times and read so many things about it. But and there was some controversy, I think, about how it was staged, or just discussion.
Now, for our British fans, that means there was a controversy.
Yeah, and but yeah, I mean, that's one of the great opening scenes of all time in any movie, with that fantastic speech. And I watched this movie every year with my dad, and it was like a favorite movie between us. And God, I had that, I had it on VHS tape, and I brought it to college. And one of my friends, I'm still friends with, he drew a freaking mustache on Patton. I'm still pissed at Bobby for doing that. He drew a mustache on my Patton tape. I'm like, Bobby, you bastard. And
you couldn't just draw a symbol of hate in the bottom of his boot where no one would have to see it,
like
where
a
at
joke
least
mustache.
enhance him.
My nickname in college was Dukert. He's like, Dukert, sorry, I just was drunk and joking around. But of course, in Patton's birthday is November 11th, 1885. So we'd always watch Veterans Day. We'd always watch Patton on his birthday too.
If I have this right,
at least watch this once a year.
He was born the same year as Hilter, right? I think it's the same year, the same age.
I don't have his birthday memorized. Like I do Patton. I forget my kids' birthdays, but I remember Patton's birthday.
To be fair, it's a federal holiday.
Yeah.
Here he is.
Yeah, but I don't forget the 1885. You got to remember the 1885 too.
Let's not forget we got radio backstage.
I can't see him there.
Yes, I need to beam radio onto the stage. I wanted to let you finish your point, and then I promptly forgot what I was doing. I'm doing a terrible producing job the last couple of weeks. I haven't been on the air as much as I need to be. Let's beam him on. You know him. You love him.
Could someone slap him?
Well, why, yes. We can slap Teague. I think we should all have a turn at slapping Teague. We should just form a line.
You know what? Let's have the pro do it.
Shut up!
I was looking for it.
I moved some of them around. They're in places that are logical now. Like I tried to put all the Lucas together and all the Harrison Ford logically belongs near Lucas. You know what I mean? And I tried to put all the Star Trek in one place. Try to be a little more organized with our soundboard because, we go to war with our soundboard. And you know what?
Sir, that was so controversial. Sir.
Bitch.
Oh, wow.
How dare you?
Calm down, Harrison. Don't getting loud with Arnold. You're not going to take him. Anyway, here we see Patton playing the games. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's already trying to get the Sicily invasion on his terms. He's won one battle. He hasn't exactly turned around North Africa. We were going to do that one way or another. Friedenthal was a terrible general who got his ass kicked. But once we got there in force, we were going to overwhelm the Germans. And we also know Hilter had decided to pull them out anyway. He was going to get out as many guys as he could and just abandon the equipment. In the end, he could only get out Rommel and a few of his officers. Most of the Africa Corps, who were some of his most badass guys, get captured. It's like fucking being a soldier for the Germans just sucked. They didn't give a fuck about your life.
Yeah.
Like think about it. Those were his most badass dudes, the Africa Corps. I would have risked getting a ship sunk to try to rescue them, or to resupply them so they could fight. I don't know. But he's already got his eyes set on how to take Sicily. He's got a historical plan. He's basing it on stuff done during the Crusades. He's basing it on stuff done during some of the Italian Civil War campaigns. He knows that he believes that Messina is the key to the entire island, and he's giving them the best food, the best wine, and it's strictly personal, of course, which he means strictly political. And he's pushing his narrative, and they mention to him, Monty's got this other plan, and Patton's like, yeah, well, he has his schedule, I have mine. And that's basically the way they're going to play it. And then we get to meet our bad guys. Dun, dun, dun. Here we go. It's the Germans. They're watching a movie. We can't show them too much because they're wearing a lot of logos, okay? They're wearing a lot of logos. It's one of the things about YouTube policy. In a historical context, you should be allowed to use them. I believe that it merits one or two people monitoring it because there's so much historical material on here. And like the archives of YouTube are in a lot of ways the archives of history. I realize that it's just a streaming service, but there should be some preservation of that, in my opinion. And it took an extra 4 hours to make the Fury video because I had to go back and remove. I didn't realize there was a stick swaka in the upper corner of the tank when they're drinking booze because the inside of the Fury is filled with all sorts of Yahtzee propaganda. There's more in there than there is in my mother's. In Marge Schott's house.
Stick shawarma.
So here we have the Germans doing something that we hadn't really caught on to yet. They're having a pretty effective enemy intel meeting, watching the captured newsreel tape. By the way, this is our propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically the truth. We've restaged what actually happened in a way where people are pretty sure. I think that they pretty much knew the American audience was going to be aware that this wasn't the actual coming ashore. They wanted to just show it.
The same with the flag at Iwo Jima was that video was a repeat of what they actually did.
Right.
Yeah.
And the famous photo. I think the deal with that is
tone. Wasn't it movie tone at the time?
Mm-hmm.
The famous picture
so.
is one source, and the famous few frames is another. But the famous few frames, I believe, is the second flag. But yeah, we have a whole movie that's worth watching about that. Honestly, Flags of Our Fathers it's hard to say that what kind of war movie that is because there's combat, but most of the movie is just about them dealing with the aftermath of it. We're just from time to time flashing back to Iwo and what happened there. It's like Letters from Iwo Jima is more of a combat movie, and that's grinding and maybe more fucked up than Flags of Iwo Jima.
Clint Eastwood? Was that a Clint movie?
Yeah, those were both Clint.
Yeah.
It was
Clint,
a companion piece to Flags of Our Fathers.
I think he filmed them back to back, didn't he?
Together.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to find out what happened to the guy who got kidnapped in Flags of Our Fathers in Letters from Iwo Jima, but we never find out what happens to Izzy. Here's Patton coming ashore. They're talking about how tall he is. They're talking about how rich he is. They're talking about how crazy he is. And they're talking about how effective he is. And they're impressed by him. They have a dedicated military intel guy. They were way ahead of us with this kind of shit. They're preparing for him. And they know, if he gets control of this operation, here's where he'll strike. He'll do it at this time. He's going to try to follow the path of Frederick the Great. When he gets here, he's going to do this. This guy's obsessed with history. In 1923, he held a bunch of guys at gunpoint in New York City, which is a fun thing to do. Everyone should try it once. But he held a bunch of guys at gunpoint in New York City because they were kidnapping a woman. Turned out that she was drunk, and one of them was her fiance helping her into the car. And I got to imagine that was young Patton down from West Point. I would hate to think that 50-year-old Patton decided to pull a gun on a bunch of people. Actually, no questions. I volunteer to be your Rommel, but I'd have to attack and annihilate you before you do the same to I need you as my cod. You guys are like my cods. And
this is making me want to play Command and Conquer.
Yeah, right. Red alert.
Retro reels and games.
I know. I
got a session afterwards.
I gotta.
Hey, we're halfway.
I gotta finish the Reliant though, man. That thing's hours.
Is it tasking you?
It tasks me.
The
It taxed
original
me,
one
but I shall have it. Hey, Admiral, you were talking about the Africa Corps.
Yes.
That Africa Corps was good. There was nothing that one of them could do that 100 men or more couldn't do.
No, exactly.
So says Toto.
Anyway, they blessed the rain as well.
Yeah.
You know what? I just want to say, is that Punky Brewster's father on the left hanging out with the bad guys? And no one's wearing the wrong kind of uniform, so I don't have to skip forward. If they have the all black German uniform, ooh, YouTube hates that.
I know this is on the same version. You notice those damn subtitles are cut off. That was
yes, this is annoying as hell. Thank God I still remember my German.
Are you using VLC to watch the movie, or
I rented it on YouTube version.
I own it on YouTube.
On VLC, there's a way to move the subtitles around.
Why they couldn't do it for this movie is beyond me. F you, YouTube. I paid for this movie. You want to change things? Change this to be right. You fixed Kingdom of Heaven. That one.
What are you, a prima donna? You can't read the subtitles. I love it when the analyst says the prima donna, and he says generals are generally prima donnas. He's like, he
present company excluded.
He didn't score many points with his generals when he said that.
Yeah.
He didn't end up in the Abwehr as military intel because of his charming personality. I think that, by the way, this is one of the few invented characters for the movie. Right? I mean, there's no guy.
Yeah, because
someone did this, but this character's
so this has all got to be historical, speculative fiction, because as you can see, they destroy all the papers when they document the
the movie telling us that it's not too for real. So I think, by the way, it's von Rundstedt who says who says he's a prima donna. I believe it's von Rundstedt, the theater commander. He's the one in the green in the right here. That's him right here.
Okay.
So I believe it's him who says it. So they're just like kind of a little bit impressed, not so much scared, but like they're sure. And we lost Mark. His device disconnected. He's working on it now so he can hear us.
The power probably got cut over there, Teague. You guys are doing all your rotational power outages.
we kind of are. Then they talk about
turn
Omar
on your
Bradley.
AC, but charge your electric car.
Yeah,
that's right. Because electric cars are extraordinarily important. We digress.
The opinion of Omar Bradley when he got there, that the script made them seem like friends, pissed him off so badly that he said, like, you don't understand, like, George Patton was a great general for what we needed him for, but he's sort of crazy and he wasn't my friend, and like he was hard to be around. He wasn't the greatest guy, and like I'm not on board with like lionizing him, because there was a lot of things about George that I thought were dishonorable that I sort of hated. And
well,
you know what? You're gonna have to make some changes.
General's opinion, Teague, and keep in mind that generals have a lot of rivalry, even in peacetime, amongst themselves, just like every other rank in the military.
This was just
you see that everywhere in professional sports.
Yeah, right.
Let's put it this way. Patton was like, to use a basketball analogy, he's like a power forward. He wasn't going to put up with any shit inside the key. He's just going to bang up to the board and put the ball in.
He's going to take it to the hole and put it in the hole. Here's Bradley dressed as like a common soldier.
Angel Reese.
Exactly.
No, let's hope not.
He'll bowl toward the bucket, but not make it in.
It's more of a Caton Collins. Anyway. Here's Bradley dressed as a common soldier. They all scoff at him, don't they? And what's funny is he ends up being the mastermind behind the final plan to beat them anyway and leading the invasion. But they're just like
Operation Cobra.
It's D-Day. Cobra is a two-part name. D-Day is Overlord, is what we call it, the D-Day invasion. All invasions were called D-Day. It's like we leave at H hour at 0 minute on D-Day. That's how they would put it.
It was called Overlord DVD Day.
Yeah.
I was trying to come up with something.
Admiralty show. Yeah. So, all right. So Overlord, he ends up being in command of the invasion. So they're scoffing at him for one, not dressing the part. Like the Germans are believing you got to dress for the job you want. They're all dressing like, Supreme Commander. And also the Germans led from the front the way Patton did in a sort of psychotic way. Because Patton was always like ditching his staff and driving across a river. And that story in the movie is also true. Yes. D-Day is the invasion. Cobra is the breakout from France, which is why Jeremy Prime has such a great YouTuber name. One of the best ones. So yes, thank you, operator. Thank you for getting that to us.
They need a crazy general to cut through all the hedgerows, right?
It's funny how they were making fun of him for that, though, because it goes to one of the lines that he says to Patton. He goes, "I do this job because I'm trained to. You do it because you get a thrill from it, or you love it."
Because you love it.
It was something to that effect.
He says you love it.
His basic uniform kind of goes to that. I'm trained to do this.
I'm one of the men. I'm wearing my work uniform. You love this. You're on stage. This is the stage. You want to have it like you have no grand designs for politics after the war because you want the war to go on forever and you want to change the world through war.
But it could also be said that dressing down is also calling attention to yourself. Look how humble I am. Look at people could say
both
that.
Playing games.
I'm not saying that's what he did, but it could be viewed that way.
They're both working their appearance. He didn't need to carry a rifle. He's working his appearance to be more like the men he led. Remember, they're like, everyone loves Omar Bradley, General Patton, the GI General. That's what Ernie Pyle calls him, sir. And I'm like, I thought Ernie Pyle wrote in the Pacific, but whatever. And Patton's like a little annoyed by that. He's like, I can't wear my pearl-handled pistols, and so the Germans are taking him lightly and they're overvaluing Patton. They're not understanding how Americans do war. The most typical American general, Mark knows his history. Maybe you'll be able to back me up on this one. There's a guy named Courtney B. Hodges. He was your typical American commander. He would sit in a command vehicle about 2 or 3 miles behind the front, call shots like an executive. The American general theory of war was that you would be like the CEO of the army and call shots. It was much more important that you survive the battle. The German leadership principle that they trained on, and their general staff school goes back to the 1890s. They have been training in this now for 60 years. They're like believing that you lead from the front. No force in World War II lost more generals than the Germans. They lost 200 generals. We lost about a dozen.
Wow.
The German generals were up front firing at the enemy. They were expected to be right up front. They did not change that part between wars. Mark,
yeah, no, but it does make sense in a way, right? I mean, the general has risen through the ranks and he's got all that experience. This is like, say you've got a fighter pilot who's, trained for hours and hours, maybe not the best, but it's like an F-22 pilot. You've got hundreds and hundreds of hours, or thousands of hours into training, and you don't want to lose that person. But yes, F-22, you got to take that risk. You've got to be there. But a general, could rely on intelligence, but he's not going to be able to act as quickly if he can see everything in the field. Now, of course, communications and the fog of war is less these days. But the other problem too, you could also have, with drone warfare, you could have, your communications can be blocked. So having a general there too at the front of everything could make a difference. But Patton, other than his fear of getting shot right in the square in the nose, he always wanted to be in combat, and God bless the guys and gals that have the guts, the blood and guts to do it, because I hope I would, but I just can't fathom going, tomorrow I'm going to fight, right? I could get shot and killed, and it just does take a lot of guts. So Patton, the line, our blood and his guts.
Yeah.
you could take some criticism for that, but in other ways too, he said, "My tactics will save lives." So, in terms of ending the war earlier.
That is a Sherman version of war from the American Civil War. Total war starts then. Sherman said, by fighting so brutally, this war will be over sooner and more lives will be saved. And that's how he slept at night. My father, who fought in Vietnam, he said this to me: the most frightening thing you could hear about your new commanding officer is that he used to be in Patton's staff. You just resigned yourself to death at that moment. You figured he was going to be completely insane and do something absolutely crazy. It's like, no, we need more napalm. It's like, oh God, no, not another guy who's from Patton's staff, anything but that. So we see the Germans' weakness here. They're arrogant. And let's remember, they did work this out of their army, but they still got a bunch of guys who are like counts and other things like that in their military. And we're racing across Messina. A bunch of stuff going on. There's problems. We're not even talking about the end run that we do with Truscott. We pull a crazy amphibious invasion that doesn't go super awesome, but works. We're taking roads away from other American divisions, and we are just basically being an absolutely self-centered commander. Whether or not he's effective, at this point, he is just breaking everybody's rules, and he's putting a strain on his country's coalition, and it is absolutely just blowing straining this coalition to its core. And here we have we can't do a Patton review without this moment, right? Let me recue that. We need to see this. Yeah, we can't do that. We get that off there. And by the way, we also just quickly skipped the part where the Patton meets with a bunch of people, spiritual advisors from back home who are there for the spiritual welfare of the men. So there's like a rabbi, a priest, and a couple other people there, and like a minister. And he's like, General, I was fascinated to see that you keep a copy of the Bible by your bed. Do you read it?
Every goddamn night.
Yeah, Sean remembers. One of the most memorable, quotable movies of all time. I sure do.
And George C. Scott's delivery is just so damn good. And
you know what's so cool about this movie, guys? I've only seen this movie twice, and I'm remembering lines. This is how memorable this movie is, because I'm remembering lines, I'm remembering names, I'm remembering details. A lot of the modern stuff, I don't remember shit about it 5 minutes after I walk.
You don't remember any good quotes from Supergirl?
Didn't see it.
You don't remember the name of,
or did you, and you don't remember it?
I could be. My memory existed, and then
mine
didn't exist. Yeah.
We couldn't get Paul Giamatti in this movie, but we did our best. What can I tell you?
I couldn't tell you anything about Fantastic Four a week after I saw it.
Well, you know what? There's like, what can you tell us about Starfleet Academy? Do you remember, aside from what was the origami chicken guy's name?
Don't know.
Newsbraka.
Newsbraka, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I just rewatched it the other day.
Who's Newsbraka for $400, Alex?
Because the next season's coming out, and it's my channel. You guys come here and work and do this out of love of Star Trek. Somebody has to take the hit and watch it twice. I was rewatching it. I watched the Gaiden one with the eagle, and I hate it. I hate that show. Anyway,
if I could glitter vomit right now, I would glitter vomit on stream.
Please do it. So here we have some more conventional commanders, and among them, someone with a little more sense than Patton, who kind of just knows how to do things a little better than Patton does. As far as like chain of command, Patton knows how to charm people and get them to do crazy shit. Here we have Monty, the tachyon pulse of World War II. What else can we say? Well, I mean, I am the Patton of Star Trek, right? So he's the Monty. of Star Trek, in my opinion. So that would make Patton the Admiral Teague of World War II. And that would make Monty the tachyon pulse of World War II.
So
does that
make JDA talks Trek? Does that make him Beetle?
Yes, and
Beetle
it makes
Smith.
Kurtzman the Hitler of Star Trek. And I'll use the real name. I dislike both of those people so much. But here, let's hear the line for the fun of it.
Sir, Patton's taken Palermo. Damn.
That actor was hired, and he's like, I just have one question about this audition. This is just one word. How many times you're being hired on the strength of how well you can say the word damn. Sit down and say it. All right. Damn. Try it again. Damn. All right. So
it's a pretty good damn.
Got the job.
What was it? Was it My Fair Lady where he goes, damn, 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 damn?
I believe so.
I think so.
We need to hear it again.
Sir.
Sir.
Patton's taken Palermo. Damn.
We got to have that as a clip.
We need like something.
We
like,
just need the damn.
Admiral Teague has 50 concurrents. Damn.
Yeah, just
or have the Trump sir in the beginning, sir.
Sir.
Oh, yeah.
Sir, we want to dig for call.
Damn. With Trump's voice, sir. Patton's taking Palermo. Damn.
The thing is, if we do that, I have to check the box that says, does this use AI to make a real person sound like they're saying something that... So then all of a sudden it goes into a different bucket and we start getting all sorts of... I'm just getting used to the bots that didn't kill me last week, staying ahead of them for another week. But this is
the crazy thing is YouTube wants you doing that, maybe more for shorts, but... I was just on a YouTube creator program and they're encouraging you to use AI and AI, clip generators and, make an AI short and stuff. So,
Yeah, one of the things when you upload is like, does this make a real person say something they never did?
Right.
Yeah.
By the way, I want to ask Mark something. Now, Mark and I were both altar boys, right? So this scene from the movie Patton, which takes place in the steps of a church in a fascist country that they're liberating. Do you think Pope Benedict is in the proximity of this scene? Has he recently left this area so they can continue his good works on behalf? His first job.
He's not leaving Rome, right? He's not down the heel of Italy. As my grandmother used to tell my grandfather, get back to the heel of Italy where you belong. God damn it. Yeah. There's a lot of rivalries there.
Well, what I was thinking was that Pope Benedict, like his first job was working for Mustache Man, so like maybe
I thought it was to cook some eggs.
No, you should have probably stuck with that as a job. A short order cook would have been better than shooting at Americans. My least favorite Pope Benedict. I had a nun with the name Benedict who was a real bastard. So like I hated the name. As soon as I found out the name he picked, I'm like, well, he's gonna suck. And they're like, how do you know? I'm like, I just know. And then it came out like what he used to do, and I'm like, see.
Wait, a nun?
What?
You said that a nun that picked the name Benedict?
They pick male names all the time.
Yeah, but then you said he.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't see the coroner's report. I have an opinion of that woman, with that bearded woman.
It is the 21st century.
That bearded slapaholic woman who would go to jail if she did what she did in that school after like 1990. Like sometimes when my mother says I complain too much about Catholic school, it's just like, I want to point out to you that 98% of what goes on there had to be made illegal for a reason.
All right, too bad they didn't ban assault rulers.
Why did they have those like mechanical rulers or whatever they were, like the triangular ones? Like those were bought just like we make special rulers. They don't really do much, but they're great at hitting kids across the knuckles. They're specially designed. It's like the most painful metal. Mark, you know what? Just
yeah, well, that's
like,
why
I don't know what they're called. If we could find a
but they
picture
were
to show people.
the
So
Geneva
hard.
Convention banned triangular daggers, but not triangular rulers that the nuns would carry around, right?
I hope you guys are enjoying our first deep dive into the movie Patton, where we're going to doing part 1. We'll probably do Star Trek next week and have to return to Patton after that, because I think we're tracking towards 6 hours, and I don't know.
Well, this is a freaking long movie. I mean, there's intermission.
Yeah. All right. So obviously, as we know, Patton can't keep his mouth shut. He gets into problems with the press. And this is the point where he's putting extra pressure on his subordinates to take more land faster than the other guy. And Bradley argues with him, we're going to lose guys just so you can make a bigger splash than Monty. And, we had a bunch of combat scenes we don't have to get into, but one of the most telling and moving scenes that we can hover on for one moment is they show Patton going up to the front line. He's an extremely hands-on general showing great personal bravery, but then this scene happens in front of him, and they go out of their way to show that Patton doesn't even look at the guy. And the guy's groaning in pain.
Our blood, his guts. Wasn't the guy walking by?
There's a few more soldiers are going to straggle by and make a couple of comments about how much they hate him. But he doesn't look at anybody. And he just stares straight ahead and kind of looks up in the air at a 45-degree angle. It's like he looks like the most unfeeling monster in the world. And it's just like you're kind of loving this character. So it's like a weird moment. It's like, does he care about his men? Or does he only care about glory? Here's just so you can see his face. It's the expression he has, because not going to engage in it. He's not going to do anything. I mean, I would say, what can he do? He can't go over there and comfort the guy anyway. But the movie shows him as being a little bit cold. I guess this is professional.
It's
for a
conscience.
military man.
The conscience is coming up a little bit here.
Yeah, he has to suppress his. This is as good a time as any to throw this one out there to the remaining panelists. He's fighting his own nature here, and he's about to slap some soldiers. Does this movie present Patton as a bipolar person?
No.
Okay.
I know you think he's bipolar, but that's not bipolar.
You know what? Historians and military historians say that he had undiagnosed dyslexia. No one really goes with bipolar disorder. It's just that.
But dyslexia has nothing to do with bipolar disorder.
No, I'm just clearing the slates on medical stuff.
And keep
the
in mind
bipolar
that
disorder stuff comes from Francis Ford Coppola's interpretation of his diary and The War as I Saw It, and also A Soldier's Story.
Well, also keep in mind that the term what they call bipolar disorder in modern psychology terms
doesn't exist.
Used to be called manic depressive. He's not manic depressive.
Yeah.
In any way, shape, or form. Never was at all.
Does this movie Patton? I think movie Patton is.
Nope.
I'm going to say that. Okay. Fair enough.
I disagree with that, Teague, but I mean, I understand that's your take on it, but I don't see
know
any
about
of that in his character at all.
I don't know how
either the movie character or the real person. I don't see any of that in either case.
I think the real person was pretty close to the stoic person that he's presented as with these sort of things. But the movie at this moment is trying to make him look pretty cold, but it's also showing us, this is an ugly business. This is war. If we don't have a genius of war, we'll just be at war forever, just never resolving anything. So, break glass, set Patton free, and let him go out there and serve his country as he, best he can. And, his soldiers do somewhat resent him. And the question of whether he cares about his men is presented over and over to give the movie weight. The person who didn't weigh in on this one, Mark and Sean, what do you guys think of the presentation of Patton as bipolar?
I don't see it. I mean, I think everything he does, a lot of his actions, yeah, he flies off the cuff a lot, but that's all kind of ingrained into his philosophy. That's part of his philosophy of command.
Yep.
So I don't, whether that philosophy is right or wrong.
Simple loss of glory depresses
there's
him.
really no bad philosophy when it comes to leadership. It's what we're taught is that you need to fit your leadership style to the way you really are instead of trying to fake it, because that's the worst thing that you can do is to fake a particular leadership style. People see through that shit just like they see through who's authentic YouTubers and who's not.
Yeah.
People will, I mean, the enlisted guys, the junior officers will always see through the bullshit eventually.
No,
Well,
I have
part
a
of
question.
it.
I'm sorry. If I could ask a question to you, Radio, following up on what you said, is it appropriate to bring out in certain circumstances a leadership style that is not you when necessary, or are you talking in general?
No, it depends. Well, you need to tailor your leadership style to the situation at hand, but generally speaking, everyone has everyone has a different personality style, and they'll have a different managerial / leadership style.
Sure.
And but if you don't want to force things per se, but if you look at the way Patton is portrayed in this film, he's not forcing things. He's not forcing anything. And he admits he likes to be theatrical. He says a statement, I know I'm a prima donna. The thing I can't stand about Monty is he won't admit it. Yeah, well, there's that statement, but he also says he says he doesn't. What was the phrase about him? I'm trying to remember now, about his men fearing him, or something like that.
Oh yeah, he says it's not whether I want my men to fear Rommel, is whether they fear me.
Just pray to God.
Fearing me.
Fear me.
Not fearing me.
Well, yeah, there's that line, but he also had another line about whether or not that it was something like, we don't know whether you mean what you're saying or if you're faking it, or something like that, right?
Yeah, we don't.
Oh yeah,
Bradley says that.
It's only important if I know.
Yeah,
no, Cod says it to him.
Yeah, that's the line I'm thinking of. So
it's after his wild rant after the weather prayer. When he tells the guy, I've got some orders for God, and you're going to give them to him. He's presented as really starting to come unglued there, but he's actually at his best.
Well, I think one part of it's not bipolar, but it's maybe the contradiction. Like we said, do you read the Bible every goddamn day? But his reverence for, the wounded soldiers that you see in the tent. But then if there's a man there that's, quote unquote, has, back then, not to be considered PTSD, but shell shock.
Shell shock.
Well, keep in mind, PTSD has nothing to do with bipolar
personality
either.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying, I think that the contradiction in his personality is what maybe some people are seeing.
Feed
versus
that rumor.
That's what I just see a dichotomy there. Asking a prayer from God to slay my enemies, and they said, really, I want that. So I think that's the nature, because you're in the business of war.
Well, I always thought that was a pretty good satire by Patton. He actually had a sense of humor.
Yeah,
he did,
showing that.
You know what? That was pretty glib, to be honest with you, because I mean, I'm not saying condemnatory, but it's pretty glib, because what he's like, bring me the damn chaplain. Write this order to God into a prayer. I'm sick and tired of fighting the Germans and the weather at the same time. I want God to do what I want him to do. And he's like, I don't know how this will be received, sir. A prayer for better weather so we can kill our fellow man. That's going to take a pretty thick rug. And Patton doesn't look up from what he's doing. He goes, I don't care if it takes a damn flying carpet.
Yeah,
he doesn't care.
Yeah, no, but I think that's the nature, the nature of his characters makes him so interesting, is those quote unquote, contradictions, right? So that's why he's such an interesting guy. And if you read his books, and he's got his diaries you can read. There's so much material you can read. First person and.
Mark, you're saying, Mark, are you saying that you're saying why you think people are saying he's bipolar because of these things? It doesn't mean that you think he was. Is that right?
Yeah, no, I don't think that. It's just I think that can kind of, people, everyone's an armchair psychologist sometimes, right? And they're just, that guy was nuts, right?
I think he just
you guys are also misdiagnosing it, because that's not what bipolar has nothing to do with what you're saying. Bipolar used to be called manic depressive. And let me just throw in a little personal story. I actually served under somebody that was formally diagnosed as manic depressive / bipolar. Patton doesn't have.
You were still in under Biden?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. No, I actually did serve under somebody that was formally diagnosed with that disorder. And yeah, Patton has none of those qualifications that meet that criteria.
No, I would agree. Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm just
that had to have been fun. Radioactive.
All right, I'm going to back my case. Here's why I think the movie presents him that way. When he's relieved of command, dressed down, and screamed and told he's an idiot by Eisenhower, first of all, the music is extremely powerful. No Assignment is one of the most powerful songs on the soundtrack. It's only The Cemetery is more messed up. No Assignment is really doleful, really sad. Patton, he is like something that gets said later is starting to affect him. As the German intel guy throws the picture into the fire, he says, "The lack of war will destroy you too." Like, while the war is going on and he's unable to participate, it's just tearing him apart. Like, he can't live with it. And he is so depressed from the point that he's relieved the command to the point that they find out that Bradley is going to be the commander, to the point where he's on the plane talking about being flown in with a bunch of spare parts, to the point where he gets to the command post where Bradley is, and he's obviously being ingratiated. He's like, "Well, George, I did have some difference of opinions of you when you got all those guys killed for no reason, just trying to get into the newspapers." Like, that's all under the bridge. You know me now, but like, I'd never do anything like that again. Like, it's so plainly just like, just give me my job back. Just give me my please. But
I think you guys are conflating a dynamic emotional range that Patton had for these other criteria, and there's nothing wrong with him having that. Okay, I'm just saying. There's nothing. I mean, you're trying to make a diagnosis on him to explain.
I'm not making a diagnosis on anything but Francis Ford Coppola's script and his interpretation of the guy's diary. And let's remember, like, this Vietnam War era movie has a psychological angle for a reason, because they're going to try to flip Patton into, like, the real question that they're going to ask us in this movie is he everything that's good and noble about the American military, or everything that's bad and twisted? They're going to ask you that question in the movie, in my opinion. So I think sort of these things is he bipolar is woven into the script, because they're going to ask you a very bipolar question as he walks away talking of the Roman triumph. And you're left to wonder, does he get it about war, and that it's time for peace? Will he be able to adjust to the peacetime? And there's that whole other movie that's not related to this about what happens later. But, this movie closes off with, he's trying to find, like, doesn't really know if peace is a good thing, and he's wondering about it, and he's like, what is peace good for but celebrating what we did during war?
But it's not peace that he's worried about. He's worried about the communist threat, Teague. This is
not in the movie.
Yeah, he is.
Yes. Not in this. I don't think in the sequence that I'm talking about where he's walking Willie, where he's just at the end of the end, after he doesn't get hit by the cart. Not all the stuff where he's got the histrionics with the Russians, when he's walking Willie, and just, for over 1,000 years, Roman conquerors returning from the wars were afforded a triumph. The conqueror would ride in a chariot drawn by white horses. His children would ride the trace horses, or with him in the chariot. behind him, right? A tumultuous parade with trumpeters and strange animals from the captured lands. It's like he's still being so 15th century. This biopic is about every Patton, the Patton that fought in the Crusades, the Patton that fought in the Civil War. Like this movie's just going right there, like taking
Patton
his
that fought at
point of
Trafalgar
view.
and the Patton that settled the first Martian colonies.
Yes,
Oh,
right.
that's
And
right. The Patton
he's gonna be
that was in
reincarnated as
command
Kirk.
of the Third Starfleet. We know who that is. We won't say any names.
I think we all know that he's reincarnated into James T. Kirk and then later reincarnated into Jellicoe. Jellicoe is absolutely Space Patton. He's totally. If there is a Space Patton, it's Jellicoe. So say we all.
I think so.
This movie review has been amazing. We can't go a whole hell of a lot farther. It would be insane. We've hit 3 hours. You guys are amazing. I think we will probably talk a bit more, but I want to take something here and just show it to you as we set up, I guess, what will be a part 2 and on another patriotic holiday, right? Maybe there's another one coming up soon, right? We got a few of them.
Is this where the intermission hits in Patton, or what is this when I had to flip the VHS tape?
Oh, that'd be a good place to stop. Yeah.
Yeah. Where's the intermission in Patton?
We are at 1 hour, 24 minutes and 32 seconds of 2 hours, 51 minutes and 51 seconds. I think we are.
I think it's after Sicily, Mark.
The intermission happens.
Okay. I think so. It's been a while since I've gone back to watch my copy.
I'm going to find out in a minute.
It's after Sicily.
I'll look, Admiral.
Yeah, I'll find out in a second. But
because that's the natural place to stop the stream, right? You know.
I'm going to show. Yeah, it would be. You know what? I'm going to show us an image though of George C. Scott as Patton. This image is taken during the Sicily campaign. And I want anyone to tell me if they can tell what he has just caught sight of. This is his initial catching sight of something. What has he just seen here?
Oh, that's the soldiers about to slap, right?
He just spotted the guy he regards as a coward. He's just spotted him. This is his moment of, I knew this was going to happen. Right. This is honest. What I'm reading on George C. Scott is like, I knew this was going to happen. And you know what? I saw this work. Black Jack Pershing did this to a couple of guys in World War I. I know it's going to work. So all I got to do is wake up his manliness and he'll go back to battle. And he does a pretty 19th century thing, I guess, at this point. Like it's not 2 at a time, but it's pretty boring. The German army would have been like, way to go, sir. Would you like us to shoot him for you? But like in our army,
the Germans could do whatever they wanted to.
Yeah.
But this is actually
on fire, sir.
This is actually 2 different incidents that's compressed into one
yes.
for the purpose of the movie, which makes sense. And I believe one of the it's been a long time since I read it, but I think one of the soldiers actually kind of didn't really basically forgave him or didn't blame him.
That was this guy.
At least one guy went.
That was this guy, right?
Yeah, the guy that they represent the guy they represent in the film here is the guy that actually went on and served honorably for the rest of his time in World War II.
Look, you didn't have to win a medal as an infantryman. You didn't have to win a medal as an infantryman in World War II to have served, if you were on the front line, to have served this was intense. So he served honorably is enough. He didn't even have to excel.
Well,
he made it back.
He made it back. He made it back.
Yeah.
I don't.
Wouldn't he made it back speak to the reason he got slapped in the first place, though? Taking out a German pillbox would be a little more of a testament to the slap than he.
We'd have to look it up, but I think there is a story on him, and I read it one time. I've forgotten the details, but he did.
The story I heard matches up with most of what you say. Like there are details that we'll find out for the next Patton thing. Is we did find out that one of the guys did forgive him.
Oh.
Did go back to combat and he
slapped 2 people.
Yes. Yeah.
The first one, Charles Cole, he slapped him on my birthday, August 3rd.
Happy birthday, Sean. Patton slapped that guy for you. That guy had it coming more. I think that's the guy who wouldn't go back. That was the guy. All traits of both guys are combined. I think one guy was doing the 1,000-yard stare and was just too fucked up to do anything. And the sniveling and crying is the guy who didn't come to a very good end, the guy who had to be sent back home or whatever. But remember, the Germans like shoot like 8 guys an hour for cowardice. There is rumors that at Stalingrad, the Russians would have had an entire division more soldiers if they hadn't been killing guys who wouldn't fight. It was so horrible. So slapping this guy, first of all, he doesn't believe or know he's wrong. Modern psychology doesn't exist. For people born in this time, there's a chance he's not wrong. Someone born in 1919 or 1921 in this situation getting slapped by General Patton saying there's no further repercussions, just go back there and fight, damn you. Guys got shot for this. That was the regulation. Only one American was shot, but that guy was like, Eisenhower just took a special hatred to the repeated like cowardice in the face of the enemy. He's like, we can't. It's like, this guy's just done it too many times. I won't relent. But like I said,
well, you got to keep in mind, Ike at this point had no choice but to play politics. He had no choice.
He had a coalition to keep together, and he had the American public to keep on his side. And I like when later on we find out that Ike has decided to bring Patton back into the war. I think one of the things going on right now is with the personal reprimand and everything else that this brings up is that Patton's like, it's like Eisenhower's like, Patton's exhausting. I need a few weeks away from this intensity. We've got this Sicily thing wrapped up. The Germans overvalue him, according to this intel. If I put him in charge of phantom divisions, they'll just buy this. And this D-Day thing will go a lot better. His unhinged actions did nothing to deter the Germans from thinking we think he's great. They will not read the room in the United States at all. They've been fascists for too long. They're not going to realize that in America you can't do this. They're going to think it's just fine. And these 14 phantom divisions for this invasion at the Pas de Calais, where they're going to waste all their time and energy waiting for something that doesn't come, that is sold by some of this insanity. So like Eisenhower wove reality, what took this real thing that was thrown at him with his best aggressive general, because there's like legitimate criticism among military historians that Patton like got his ass whooped a couple of times because he was bad on defense. So like he needed this really good aggressive general. There's a case to be made that he just shelved him for like the 8 months it took to build the Overlord, or 12 months it took to build the Overlord fiasco, and he had the Germans eating out of their hands with the intel on Patton. They were just concentrated on him. They didn't for 1 minute believe the invasion was coming where it was coming, led by the people it was led, or going to have the participants it had. That invasion was at the furthest point of the channel and like at the most like heavily fortified area that they had built up first for whatever weird reason. The part that they thought was going to be invaded was the shortest point to cross. And we did everything backwards. Like we never invaded in bad weather before. Like we did everything. We threw the kitchen sink at trying to win that one. So having them be fixated on Patton, we just saw the movie. We'll end off on this one. Does Patton's being so crazy and overvalued by the Germans and the way he acts out being so un-American, but so perfectly pitched for the Germans to believe it, does that make, is it Operation Ultra or MK Ultra, the deception program for D-Day? Does that make the, go ahead.
MK, you're conflating a different activity. MK Ultra has nothing to do with this. That's something else entirely.
Is Ultra was the intelligence thing for World War II. Okay.
That might be true. I forget, but yeah, MK Ultra is something totally separate.
Yeah, you're right. That's conspiracy stuff. All right. So
that's a new video game coming out.
Is the pre-CIA known as the OSI and the other people who are doing the spy craft and other work? OSS. Sorry, the OSI is a $6 million man.
Yeah, the $6 million man. Yeah,
they're equally valuable. I would point out that Oscar Goldman does serve his country well at Pearl Harbor in the movie Midway, but in this point, I don't think he's doing anything wrong. And I think that this enhances the effectiveness of the operation to deceive the Germans about who's in charge and where the operation's coming. Because we see Patton blow his top. He's like, we're going to build an army group of 14 divisions around you with 60 division, like 60 tanks and like 4 squadrons of like bombers attached to you. And he's like, good. And he's like, all fake. And he's like, what? It's great. And he's like, damn it, George, you're a pain in the ass. And I think maybe it's because he's so crazy that he sells it. But I mean, let's put this back up for 1 second. This look on George C. Scott's face. See it? At movie Patton. What? My God. Is he is movie Patton remembering something that he saw Alexander the Great do? Like, what is going on in his mind? It's like, damn it, I haven't had a problem like this since the Napoleonic Wars. Like, what does he think? Are all his lives running together here? Like, or is it that he can't stand dishonor in the face of combat?
Well, that's what he can't stand. Yeah, so that goes to the antithesis of his being, right? Because he, growing up wanted to be a soldier, wanted to be in warfare. That's the one thing he can't stomach. And yeah, I mean, the Germans, I'm guessing they probably didn't believe, wasn't there a line in the movie like, the Germans can't believe that he's actually being disciplined and
that's in the film version of events. Yes, that's exactly what they say. They can't understand for just slapping a soldier. Yeah, they can't believe that the Allies are sidelining who they've already evaluated to be.
They dismiss it.
The Allies' best armor commander.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be like,
and one of the only,
it'd be like benching your captain, on a great, team, right? On great baseball team. We're gonna bench the captain because
Derek Jeter's not going out there for this World Series game,
or sidelining your star quarterback because of,
for something relatively minor.
Yeah,
I mean, technically
wearing a quote unquote rainbow flag on your uniform or something.
Yeah, it's technically an infraction, but why don't we look the other way? Because he's so important, right?
The Germans certainly would. Like I said, in the German army, if he slapped a soldier, the aides would be like, shall we shoot him, sir? It's like, would you like us to shoot him now, sir? He's very dishonorable. They would have probably shot him right in that tent. Stuff like that happened in the German army. All right. I'll just say this. Let's leave it on this. This brilliant moment of acting, everything on his face. Let's forget about history for a moment and talk about just like George C. Scott, who, by the way, skipped the Academy Award presentation because he had New York Rangers season tickets.
Well, he declined the Oscar because he said
he accepted it. He didn't go to the ceremony.
From what I read, he said he refused it because he said he didn't like to see himself as competing with other actors. Someone accepted it on his behalf, and the next day they returned it to the Academy.
Yeah, I believe it was Indian. Except a woman dressed as an American. No, that's Brando. I'm kidding.
Yeah, that's Brando.
Brando did that. It was a white lady too. It was like the weirdest thing. It's like I'm looking over at my sister, and she's a guardian, and I'm like looking at this woman on TV, and she's supposed to be one.
Are you telling me that Senator Pocahontas was the one that was doing that for Brando?
Yeah, it was a young Elizabeth Warren that came.
Yeah. Actually, that woman was kind of hot, so maybe not, but who knows?
Have you guys bought Pocahontas? Have you guys bought her cookbook? Because I did buy her cookbook with the native Cherokee recipes in it that Elizabeth Warren put in.
Is it called To Serve Man?
Yeah, and the book actually, and the crazy thing is the recipe in the book that she submitted was plagiarized from another book. Chef.
Nice. Well, hey, at least she's staying consistent. That's the important thing.
You know what? I heard I watched the beginning of the Elizabeth Warren cooking show, and she said, to make this dish, you're going to need a good pander. I mean, anyway, Let's bring it to a close with this. Everybody, what's thoughts here about Patton Part 1? We'll end with slapping the soldier. We've seen it a billion times. We'll show it, of course. But this moment of acting here before he even becomes verbal with the guy, my God, did he earn every dime right here? Like, I don't even think we doubted what he was going to do the first time we saw the movie, did we? Maybe we wondered if he'd shoot him. When he goes for his gun, I think he's serious. When they drag him out of there going for his gun, I don't know. He was that angry. Or
in the movie, I don't know know how real that part is.
Real George Patton was never going to just shoot someone in cold blood.
Well, what I read, the one that got publicity was the guy that he slapped actually had malaria at the time. That's why he was in under medical care, and Patton didn't know it. He just thought he was just being a coward.
That sounds pretty close to something that did happen. One guy kind of straightens himself out because it's the middle of the 20th century and people are set up to react to it. It wasn't overly inappropriate. I would point out that 25 years later, they're going to make a Star Trek episode we're going to watch where a woman freaks out and Captain Kirk is just like, get it together, bitch. You know, that happens in like 2 TOS episodes. So, you know, like slapping someone or yelling at somebody. I mean, wasn't that legal in New York State schools until like 1992 or something like that?
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, the idea
I keep wanting to show the clip from Airplane where everyone's slapping the lady who's starting to go hysterical. There's the line of people. And Leslie Nielsen gets the extra one at the end.
The extra hand out of nowhere.
No. He slaps her and they're like, "Doctor, you're needed on the phone." And he looks at her and slaps her one more time and then walks off.
I thought for a minute there, I was thinking of the slapping scene in Police Academy where she slaps him and he stops her, and she goes to slap him with the other hand and he stops her, and then like a disembodied third hand just comes out of nowhere and slaps him again. Gets him anyway. It's just like, huh? How did I miss that? But let's just leave off with that. George C. Scott, a fantastic job with the whole first part of the movie, earning his paycheck. Operation Fortitude was the actual name of the deception campaign the Allies waged. We'll get into the finer points of the slapping incident and recovering from it later. But you know what? Like, let's have the fun of showing it to you. You know, I didn't clip this, so I couldn't enjoy it. So let's have a moment here of you know, some good old fashioned, like, this is what we call manliness training.
Shut up!
There we go. You know, just this wouldn't have in World War I. I don't think he even gets a reprimand. I think
nothing would happen.
This one is a amalgamation. What's the word? Amalgamation of the two.
Yeah. I thought they amalgamated
one guy. What Radioactive is giving us some info here, and he kicked one guy in the butt.
He did kick someone in the ass. Yeah,
the malaria guy got kicked in the
buttocks.
That's funny.
Got kicked in.
All right, look, he was George Patton was an uncompromising guy who didn't think that, like, you know, like, I think that speech he gave where he has to apologize. First of all, if you notice, the speech does not contain the words "I'm sorry." But what that
he says, "I apologize, accept my explanation and this apology." Like, he throws in the word apology at the end, like he's gonna get sick.
Yeah, he says it the way the Emperor says "friends," but he doesn't say "I'm sorry." That's what I'm saying. Like, he doesn't use the terms "I'm sorry." He spins on his heel. But I think the part before that is one of the better speeches in the movie no one talks about, is when he's sitting in the church and you hear that crazy church music, and it's like, "Those who oppose me will be taken down to the lower regions of the earth."
Yeah, they cut this. That scene was cut short. A minute after that, the Kurgan walks in.
Holy ground, Pat.
Yeah,
that would be hilarious.
Great. Yeah, You know what? Somebody, AI artists of the world,
I
neural
think
derp.
that's what they should have in the new Highlander movie if they ever get it finally finished. Is they should have the Kurgan walk in on Patton and tell him that holy ground, Patton.
That would be great because he would have been around, right?
That's right, and Patton could have been an immortal, but then he actually gets cut short not by the Kurgan but by the actual incident.
Yeah, but they knew what they were doing because he dies from a head wound.
And the Kurgan would say, "Such a damn shame. I was looking forward to taking him last."
Yeah, I couldn't wait to get his prize energy. All right, so hey, Mark, is it going to be geekery tomorrow?
There will be geekery. Yep, I will be back home, which is good. So,
are you going to geek a little later because people are driving, or are you going to geek?
Yeah, we're going to geek. Yeah, geek a little later. Yeah. So, looking forward to that. Yeah.
Candy. Of course you are. Wow, that never works when people try it, but we actually were in sync at that moment, at least on StreamYards. We both spoken at the same time. It'll be interesting when I listen to the show back later. All right, so there'll be geekery. What time are you coming on? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll probably try to do the regular time. I should be okay with that. Yep. So
say the regular time for
10:30 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, I got too much sun today. The worst thing was, I could see everyone was defeated by the heat there, and just they were taking all their carts and just dragging their sorry asses back out with no mechanized infantry. And then the worst thing was, on my way back out, my flip flops broke. So I burned the shit out of my feet. I got these massive blisters on my because it was like 100 degrees. Like one flip flop broke and the other one broke. And I kept walking. I'm like, well, this is hot in this desert sand, but I can handle it. And then I
had some duct tape with you, Mark, and just taped them to your feet.
That's what I should have done, but I kept going. And then when I got back, I was like, oh shit! Oh, my camera just went. That's okay. But I got these massive blisters. I'm like, I think this really hurts now. You got a high threshold for pain. Like, that wasn't so smart. Yeah. So, but I'll survive. Yeah.
Sean, is there a model that's finished?
No, I've put in so many hours into the Reliant, man. It's looking really good, but I'm trying so hard to get this thing perfect, but it's hard. It's going to look nice, but no,
May I ask a question here, Sean?
Yes, sir.
What is it that you're finding more challenging about your Reliant build than, say, your previous builds?
The roll bar that goes over the top, because there's lights in the little photon torpedo launcher. You got to run the wires down that little thing into the nacelles and then get it into the main saucer. And there's so many little lights on this ship, different colors, different styles, and fitting them into small pieces. And then when I'm putting it together, I'm just trying to get rid of the seam lines. And I'm trying to do a better job on this than any other ship I've done. So I'm trying to up my game.
Out of curiosity, do you play like Jerry Goldsmith and James Horner's music in the background?
I
low level.
Listen to the soundtrack of 2 and 3. I've watched Star Trek 2 several times during this build.
Okay.
And I think I've actually gotten through the entire series of the Twilight Zone while building this. And I'm still not. It's still not even together. I've got the saucer put together and I've got the roll bar put together. And
then question on Twilight
Zone. Don't build it upside down, Sean.
Yeah.
Quick question on the Twilight Zone. How weird is it when the runtime of the show keeps changing?
Oh God, season 4. They're all an hour long, season. And they need to be cut back. I want to see someone edit them and cut them down to 30 minutes.
I think that might exist for some form of syndication that happened.
It easily could be done.
But that's why they don't play those. They never play those 1 hour episodes, right? You never see season 4. Right?
That's why. Like when I went through to watch this, I'm like, I've never seen this one. I've never seen this one. Like there's a bunch I hadn't seen.
So here's the deal, guys. We're gonna save Patton Part 2 for our next patriotic holiday, which might not be till Veterans Day, right? Is there another I guess Labor Day is a patriotic holiday.
Wait. No, Memorial. We just had Memorial Day.
Right, Labor Day. This one for Veterans Day is what I was going to say. Is one way to do it, but that's
November?
a long way off.
That's November. You can't do it that way.
I think maybe 4th of July and Labor Day, especially for part two of Patton, where he's going crazy on the commies. That'll be perfect on Labor Day.
You want me to make a suggestion here or wait till the green room?
Wait till the green room, because if it's something as good as the suggestion I'm going to give away right now, could we get like Ma'am Dammy's face like put onto the soldier Patton slaps? Because I mean, fucking shut up. All right, so
that falls under the depiction of people that things never happened to. It'd be nice. Maybe we could just make.
I like the idea. It's a very high concept.
I want to see someone just go and pull his beard off.
One of the things I want to say about Elizabeth Warren's 1984 cookbook about her Native American roots.
Is that a real thing?
That is a real thing.
Yes, Powwow Chow. I have the cookbook.
And it was plagiarized?
It's called Powwow Chow. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Well, her recipe plagiarized is what you're saying, because there's obviously other people's recipes in it, I would guess.
Yeah, but her one of her recipes is actually plagiarized, and the New York Times showed the original recipe as it appeared. It's identical. It's something with crab meat or crab dip. But yeah, I think I put the link in the chat if you want to Google it.
I'm surprised she actually claims she actually knows how to cook.
Well, I mean, you know what? Anyone can just walk up and slap down a note card and just go, yep. Do you know, as far as that goes with her, you know, give it up already, lady. Come on. Just give it up. What did they find out? That it's possible, that it's not impossible to say that one of her ancestors wasn't married to a 1% Native American. So it's like her Native American justification for the claim is 0.1% Native American, which means that Admiral Teague is 1,800% more Native American than Elizabeth Warren. And I would say I don't look at it all, man. Did anybody know? Want to scalp some tickets? All right.
That's why you're always drinking vodka.
Exactly. That's why I'm always junking off the reservation. All right, guys. You know what? Patton Part 1. It was an ambitious project. It is a really long movie, and you know what? Our review style. I want to do a thorough review of this one. So Labor Day, when everyone, I'm sure the mayor of New York will say some interesting communistic stuff, which will have us loving the end of Patton, where he's going crazy on the commies. And we'll talk a little bit alternative history, or a little bit of a controversial history where there's some rumors that Patton may have done some machinations behind the scenes to recover some American POWs, some of which is believable because I think that the Russians would try to hold on to some people. But we'll talk more about that one next time. I want to thank everyone for being here. And next week, The Cage. Can you guys believe it? We're finally there. Next voyage, The Cage. We will determine whether or not The Cage is Star Trek. But before we go, I've been forgetting to do this, and I'm really glad that YouTube remembers that you did it, whether you close it out or not. But here we go. 20 people took our poll. Pretty scientific. Do you believe in reincarnation? Some of us reincarnate a little. 20%. It's pretty strong. We all reincarnate over and over. 10%. Okay, I'm sorry. My contact's misaligned. It's 20% for some of us reincarnate a little bit. 10% for we all reincarnate over and over, and 35%, I do not believe in reincarnation, with another 35% endorsing the stream. Everybody hit like and follow. I thank you so much. You know what? He's such an amazing figure that we'll have to finish Patton 250, the America 250 celebration at another time, Labor Day, I think, for Patton. And thank you all so much. And you know what? Let's see, what's a good way to end this? You know what? Let's get ready for a little Star Trek next week with the worst of New Trek as we get ready for Star Trek. But oh wait, I didn't actually close the poll. Let me end that one.
Yeah, and you got to have some Patton clips. Do you have any Patton clips or no?
You know what? Maybe I'll put a Patton clip on there. Let's see if I have one. I think that the only one I have is. I think I only have that one. I think most of my Patton clips are audio.
Well, you got the one with the horse riding at the end.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that's kind of a Patton clip. All right. We've got that taken care of. All right, guys. I love you all. I'll see some of you during the week, and we'll be back. Bye, everybody. Oh,
Is it playing?
No, it's what I did was I glitched when I clicked. Sorry, guys. You know what? I'm gonna punch my microphone in frustration to show how angry I am. All right, bye, everybody.
Don't slap the mic.
I'm going to give it I'm writing a strongly worded letter to the microphone.
All my life, I've wanted to lead a lot of men in a desperate battle. I'm going to do it.
I am going to be allowed to fulfill my destiny.